Evening.
This is our 26th live session now, so 26 months in a row we've been doing this. It feels like not too long. It feels like it was only yesterday we started this, and obviously lots of things have happened in between. But
Speak for yourself.
26 live streams. So I'd like to welcome all our subscribers who are dialing in from home, watching us, or in the audience ourselves. We've got a live audience today, so say hello.
Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, say hello.
So please ping in your questions from home and in the audience. Lee will talk a little bit more about that later on. But really importantly, if you're watching from home, please get out a beer out your fridge now, because it's going to taste much better once it's warmed up a little bit. So we've got the State of Mind barrel aged Dream Child. So if you get that small can out your fridge now, if it's really warm, put it in your pocket, let it warm up a little bit. It's going to be a really good beer to try once it's got a bit more flavour. So apologies as well if you've been waiting quite a while for your subscription box this month. A multi-day bank holiday on the lead up to the tasting usually has a little bit of an impact on shipping, and unfortunately our shipping partners decided to turn up at about 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday to collect the last of the subscriber boxes, and I'm hoping they got to you all in time. If they didn't, we're really sorry, and we'll contact us and we'll do what we can to make that right. So we've also got a new member of the team helping us tonight. So Pete will probably join us later on. He's off camera at the moment, but today was Nadia, our marketing manager's last day. So thanks for all her help over the last few years. And we had a couple of drinks before she headed back to Leeds tonight for I think a meal. She's going to go home and dial in. I think that's what she said, wasn't she? She's going to watch us from home. I doubt it. But so thanks to Nadia, and welcome to Pete. We've got loads of things to talk to him about later on.
So when Wayne has one of his entirely predictable loo visits, we'll bring Pete onto camera. Okay, so running order for this evening is we're going to be doing 4 beers as always. Wayne's just starting to pour the first there. So we're going to be doing a grapefruit variation of our Lupu lines, so 5% APA with additions of grapefruit. We're then going to follow that up with a Berliner Weisse flavoured with papaya and lemongrass and a little bit of ginger that we call Papaya Don't Preach. We're then going to be doing a slightly more modern interpretation of an IPA in a beer called Clever Gyle. So it was brewed with neon raptors, so it's got a nice kind of Jurassic Park reference there. And as Wayne's already alluded to, we're going to be concluding with the latest of our State of Mind releases. For those of you not in the know, State of Mind is what we call all of our barrel-aged releases. So we've got one that is designed to taste like a Rocky Road ice cream. And that's 14% that we're topping out at today. So that's the 4 beers we're doing tonight. In addition to that, you've got 5 other beers in your box. We think once again we've put together a strong box. You've got a new release in a beer called Central Dark, which is a vanilla oatmeal stout. You've also got the collab West Coast IPA that we did across at Thornbridge called Some Friday That. And for reference or comparison, we've also included Thorny Eagle, which is the West Coast that we brewed with Thornbridge here. So you'll be able to drink both alongside each other. One's a slightly more modern interpretation of the West Coast. One's a slightly more malt-forward classic interpretation. So you'll be able to see how they stack up.
And apologies, because I missed a part of my prompt, because we're indoors. We're in a really bright sunny day today, and we came indoors into a little cave, and I can't quite see my prompts, and I forgot a really important prompt. So we're actually going to be joined on the stream in a couple of beers' time by the guys from Northern Monks. We've got the co-founder and technical director, Bryce, in the corner, and we've also got Reece, who's one of the brewers at Northern Monks. So they'll be joining us and asking a few questions. So when you think of your questions at home and in the audience, make sure you fire a load to the guys from Northern Monk. They've came all the way down here. It's been a long journey from Leeds, and we plied them with lots of alcohol to loosen them up a bit. So get your questions in.
And Bryce arranged for an interpreter, I'm told. So, bit of an in-joke there. So, Brian can talk a little bit fast at times and has quite a thick accent. So, he's jokingly told us that he's got somebody from the Northern Monk team who's going to type translations underneath the video for you tonight. So, we'll see how that bit goes later on when Brian joins us on camera. So, what we're going to be doing when we drink each beer is we're going to be talking you through the name of the beer, the concept behind the beer, whether that be the branding, the style, the ingredients, anything that might be unique about the beer we're going to start and have a little chat about. At the same time, as Wayne said, we're going to be fielding questions. So the more interactive we can make this session, the more enjoyable it's going to be for all of us. So in the room, to get your questions in, you're just going to fill out a bit of paper, wave it in the air. One of these beautiful chaps to my right here will then come and collect that paper from you, and then we'll bring it to us at the right moment. If you are watching at home, you just have to type below the video. They'll be screening that, and the most eligible questions will be put forward to us later on in this tasting session. Okay. Also, after we've consumed each beer, we're going to tackle a little bit of a specialist subject. We have a few things we do every time, such as we talk about the highlights of the last month, and then right towards the end of the session, we'll tell you what you can expect in the box next time and where you might see us in the next month. But then we have some slightly more novel content. This time we're going to be handing over at one point to Brian Reese, and they're going to tell you a little bit about Northern Monk, what it is that those guys do across in the far distant lands of Leeds. And we're also going to have Wayne giving you a bit of a venue update. So we're sprucing up a few of our venues, and he's going to give you a rundown of the things that we're doing with those. Okay, so on to the first beer, which I believe is...
Yeah, so the first beer we cracked open, or I cracked open and started drinking straight away, is Grapefruit Lupu. So anyone who's a Brew Up fan or has drank a lot of our beers might realise we have a core beer in our range called Lupu. So Lee mentioned it was a grapefruit APA. So that means it's a grapefruit American Pale Ale. So American Pale Ale is a style of easy drinking pale ales, which are typically hopped with American hops. It's ours is a gluten-free beer, the original Lupu. Grapefruit Lupu is also brewed to a gluten-free recipe, but we didn't get it certified. So unfortunately, we can't tell you it's gluten-free and ask you to try it. But we suspect if we had it tested, it would have been. So the big difference here is we've brewed the typical beer we normally do, so an American Pale Ale. We've brewed it, fermented it as we normally would, and we've hopped it like we normally would with a hoppy beer. Big difference, as you can probably guess, is we've introduced grapefruit to the beer. So this is a style that we've enjoyed ourselves for quite a lot over the past years. If we go back to one of my favourites of this style is probably Magic Rock's High Wire Grapefruit. So Magic Rock's American Pale Ale is called High Wire. They did a High Wire Grapefruit many years ago. There's other ones, other big breweries who've done it before. So I think Thornbridge have done one, Halcyon. They did a grapefruit version of that.
Pink grapefruit, that one.
I'm not sure if Northern Monk have done one, a grapefruit version of one, but I can imagine there's probably a grapefruit faith out there. If not, watch your space. And the other one, I think Kirksall have done Virtuous Grapefruit recently. So they've had the former head brewer from Magic Rock join them in the last probably 6 months, who's probably brought a few of the inside information on how they made High Wire Grapefruit and shared it with those guys. So loads of hops go into this beer, like they would in the normal beer, the normal version of Lupu. So we've got Cascade, which is quite grapefruity anyway. So that's what we try to pair the hops with the fruit that we use in our fruity hoppy beers. So that's what we've done with that beer. It's hopefully going to be the first of a series of beers that we do with a twist. So Northern Monk do a really great range of twist variations of their beers. It's something we wanted to do a lot of in the past, but we didn't really have the standout core beer that we wanted to do that with. And we decided this year that we were going to do more and more with Lupu. So one of the ones I really want to do at the moment is a mango Lupu, but we're just trying to find the right time to launch that beer.
And I really want to do an amplified juice Forsyth,
so double,
which I think should be called juiced Forsyth.
Juiced up.
So what we'd like you to do at home and in the room is to have a little think about our core range, and if you were going to take one of our existing beers and give it a bit of a, and I'm sorry Brian, I'm struggling to think of a word other than twist, so we also are going to have to find a different word to call this series other than twist, because that one is most definitely taken. So if we were to take an existing beer and do something slightly different to it, elevate it to ABV, change the grain, add some fruit to it, whatever, what would you have us do? What would be the most popular choice for you guys? And as I've said there, what would you call this series? Most definitely not twist. That one has gone.
So in the past, we've taken Tonko, one of our most popular beers, and we've done amped or different versions. So amped up, we've doubled the strength, we've added different flavours to that beer. So we've taken a coconut Tonka vanilla and chocolate milk stout, and we've added cherry, we've added salted caramel. We've done loads of really cool things with that range of beers, and we will still continue doing more. We always like to have ideas. If you guys have got any you want to share with us, we're happy to consider them. But at the moment, we're thinking of some of our more mainstream core beers. So without the different fruit additions or the adjuncts that we tend to put in our beers. So Karma Chameleon. They are 3.7% APA, American Pale Ale again, but a sessionable one. Doing things with those type of beers, I think it could be really interesting. So, if you've got ideas, ping them in, and we'll pick out the best ones and see what we can do with it. So the other thing I forgot to mention about the beer, I said it's got loads of hops in it. That's not really that helpful. So Lupu in itself, the base beer, is a Citra Mosaic, our favourite combo, and Cascade hopped American Pale Ale. So those hops bring out typical, these type of tropical fruity flavours, and that's why we decided to pair it with grapefruit in this beer. The can artwork, the guys from United by Design have knocked it out the park again. They did an awesome twist on our normal artwork. So Lupu can is very similar to this. It's just got a nice pink theme to go with the pink grapefruit we used, and then lots of little grapefruit twists on there. So hopefully you guys like the beer, and hopefully you like the can artwork.
So at this point in time, we usually talk about highlights of the last month. So for me personally, once again, it's the same highlight as last month. I've had more tattoos done. So I'm really happy with my tattooist and the work he's done in the last month. So a little bit selfish, but from a work perspective, which is still kind of a personal thing as well, myself and Wayne went up to Scotland, to Glen, to Finefest. And it's the most scenic, beautiful place you could imagine for a brewery to be. And they had a music and beer festival there, and they were the most gracious hosts. It's probably the best beer festival I've ever been to. You know when something's so good that you kind of don't want to tell people because it's this like unspoiled or unknown secret? But unfortunately I've let the cat out of the bag with you guys. It's truly, truly spectacular. We did get very lucky with the weather. I'm told you don't normally get sort of 20-degree heat in Scotland. Usually it's rain and midges. But yeah, we'll take it as we find it.
Especially where we were. It's definitely the first time I've come back to Scotland with a sunburn stroke tan. I think my face is going a little bit brown now, but it was definitely pink when we got back. So it was an awesome festival. Again, we tried to pick out different things that we say we really enjoyed it of the previous month, and we tried to keep them different. But I've got to say that work-wise, that was one of the highlights. And it's just the start of festival season for us. We're going to talk more and more about that later on. There's so many cool beer festivals coming up. There's so many interesting things coming up on the beer scene. So pretty excited about that. On a non-work theme, we've finally got myself and Sal, who's in the audience, have finally got a little holiday booked with the rest of Sal's family. So that's in about a month's time. So finally getting a bit of time away from work. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I haven't even asked you what you're doing.
We're going in a pod.
A pod?
Yeah, so it's like a camping pod, but like a posh camping trip. Which again, I must be going mad because we keep doing like camping related stuff, but it's UK, so there's loads of really cool places to see. So go stay in a pod.
So where are you going, Lakes?
It's not far from Bakewell, apparently. I didn't book this, so it's nothing to do with Thornbridge. It's not me going on a work holiday. Sal and her family booked it, so I didn't influence this at all.
So Wayne's definitely going to be spending a big part of this holiday in the Thornbridge tap room. I can see it now.
Possibly, en route, maybe. So so it's been a real fun month, and it does get really hectic for us at this point of the season. So it sounds really amazing when we talk about it, but actually we're getting a bit old and we're dreading it a little bit. But we're actually on day 2 of a 5-day event for myself and Lee. So yesterday was Nadia's leaving party, so we were out for a few drinks for Nadia's leaving do. Today, obviously, joining you guys, YouTube Live, and we've got Northern Monk in the house. And then tomorrow, we're driving to Bristol to go to Bristol Craft Beer Festival. And then on Sunday, we're going across to Wales to do a live stream. And then on Monday, we're in the
Craft Beer Republic.
Yeah, the SEBA
Independent Bottle Shop of the Year.
To do another event there. So like I say, we're a bit old for this now. We'll be coming back broken on the Tuesday, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So start of the festival season.
Well, yeah, I can barely do 2 days in a row, so 5 is going to be interesting. Okay, we got our first set of questions. Thank you. For you. Right. Why is grapefruit so versatile? Why is it the go-to for many beers? And that's from Steve. I think whenever you're doing kind of flavour pairings, you're trying to do like one of 3 things, and I'll see if I can remember them. You're trying to complement, amplify, or contrast. I might have got one of those wrong. What you're generally trying to do with grapefruit is to, I guess, complement / amplify a characteristic that's already there. So there are hops, like Wayne said earlier, that are very grapefruity, kind of pithy in their character. So it's, not unusual to take a hop that has a very grapefruit-like character and to pair it with grapefruit. Another one that you'll see people use is a number of hops are described as being like pineapple. So it's not unusual to see pineapple appear in beers for similar reasons.
Like juice foresight.
Like juice foresight, yeah. What's your question?
Well, it's probably for you actually. What's your favourite beer style to brew and why?
My favourite beer style to brew. That's probably changed over time. From a pure brewing perspective, it's going to be a dark beer because there's very little in the way of hops and adjuncts, and it's really easy to clean up after. But from what I like to brew and what I most like the results of, it would probably be one of the things that doesn't sell well, and therefore I don't get to do them very often. So I really like beers where they have a good balance of malt and hops, and more often than not, beers these days are either about doing one of the 2 things to an extreme. So it's either intensely hoppy or it's really malty. You don't really get these things that are really malty and really hoppy so much now. So I'm talking about your India Stouts, your red IPAs, those kind of things. I love those styles. I love to drink them. I love to make them. I don't get to do it very often because unfortunately not enough of you guys like to drink them.
Well, probably everyone joining us on the stream probably does really like this style, but it's such a small minority of the market who really like these styles. It typically tends to be other brewers. We all love to go around to each other's breweries and drink their red IPAs or their black IPAs and stuff like that, and enjoy that craftsmanship of blending the hop and the malt really well. But yeah, when it comes to the public and the landlords, they get quite scary. And I think one of the reasons they're found quite scary is because people kind of drink with their eyes. They always have. And when you see something that's pale in colour, you're expecting that light hoppy taste usually, or a light non-hopped beer. You see something dark, you're expecting that stout or that thick full body. So you put something hoppy in a dark-looking beer, and it can really blow your mind. So it can be confusing. So landlords sometimes in more traditional pubs or smaller venues struggle with that with the customers buying those type of beers. So if they're not going to sell it, they're not going to buy it. And likewise, it puts the less appeal to us to brew that style. So if we do those type of things, like those type of things, we tend to try and do them at the brewery here. So we're in our tap room in our Hoptail Lounge tonight, and just out behind us on the other side of the wall we've got our original brew kit. So it's a much smaller kit, so we can brew some more unique style beers here. We'll be confident they'll still sell in reasonable volume because we only get a handful of kegs off them. We brew it at a new production site, much bigger volume. It's much harder to sell those type of styles. So we tend to try and focus on the specialty stuff here.
Good. Next question. What beer would you recommend for a non-beer drinker intrigued by craft? So the answer to that's probably evolved over the time. So more often than not, someone that's transitioning to craft is doing it from a macro lager world. So you're trying to find something that's not a massive leap from lager. So the answer kind of always used to be like a classic American pale ale, like the original of this without the addition of the grapefruit. So you're talking about something that's not too bitter, not too intense with the hop character, a nice effervescence, a really kind of refreshing drink that isn't challenging the palate too much. I would say these days the answer is probably more so what Northern Monk do really well. Their biggest selling beer probably by far is a beer called Faith. So I think that's the way a lot of people are finding their route into craft these days, because those ones are like really juicy, really soft. There's almost no bitterness there really to challenge the palate at all. It's almost like you're drinking breakfast juice in alcoholic form. So they're really, really easy to kind of get you on your journey with craft. So yeah, one of those two type of things, I would say.
And it also depends on where you're coming at this from. So if you typically drink gin or cider or something that's quite different to beer, then there'll be styles like sours or fruited sours that you might really be drawn to. If you typically drink wine or then we've got a great beer at the moment, just about to launch, called Diana Voss, which happens to coincide with Glastonbury, and it's got a New Zealand hop in it, which works really, really well in pale beer, and it has a it's called Nelson Sauvin, and it's got the same grape. It's got the same characteristics as the grape. What grape is it? Sauvignon Blanc. Oh, that's using Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc.
So yeah, you might like that style of pale. So it depends on where you're coming from, but yeah, there's definitely loads of beers that could help you get into the style.
Okay.
So I've got. Go on then.
So someone's trying to challenge us here. So what hop would we recommend if we were trying to amplify a peach or apricot flavour?
Yeah, I spotted that one. That's why I passed it to you.
So the Americans call that stone fruit. So I would say something along the kind of like Amarillo or maybe Mosaic sort of route. One of those two would be my go-to.
Got another one. Says, do you see a different style selling better in your different venues? Have you had to adapt your plan to meet the needs of each venue? So for anyone who doesn't know, we've got the venue we're in now, so in York City Centre, which is kind of split into two. We have the beer hall, which is predominantly kegged beer, so your colder, fizzier, lots of different variety. And we have the tap room, which is the original, which has got more cask beer, so your traditional hand pull, which again is lots of different styles that go in there. So that alone has a different appeal to different people. It's kind of like you can go in and enjoy the start of your night in one part of the venue and go upstairs or downstairs and enjoy the rest of the evening in a different space. So we have a different demand there. So we genuinely don't need that much cask beer on upstairs, because most of the customers who come in want to drink keg beer. So we only have 2 cask beers upstairs and 41 keg beers. And then downstairs we used to have 10, but after COVID we dropped it down to 6. So we've got 6 cask beers, so the slightly warmer served style, and we have 10 keg beer. So that alone is a bit of a contrast in York. And then we have a venue in Pocklington, so a small market town on the outskirts of York, which is very, very different drinking habits to York. So we have maybe, I think, 80 to 90% of what's consumed in our York premises is our own beer. So it's a huge volume of our own product. Across in Pocklington, I think it's about 20 to 25% wine. So it's a very, very different mix, because it's a market town venue which is accessible for everybody. So you've got all sorts of different drinks and styles. And then in Leeds, which is where our other venue is, it reflects quite closely what we serve in this venue, with a little bit more spirits and non-beer related drinks. So in terms of beers themselves, though, the biggest difference is Pocklington's very cask driven, Leeds and York are very keg driven. So it's quite interesting. I could talk about it for a long time, which I won't bore you to death, but why I suspect these happen.
We've got some guests to get on camera soon, so let's not labour that point. We have had our first suggestion through for what we could call our twist that's not a twist. We could call it Mangle. A Mangle Angle.
Is that in honour of Neighbours' last ever episode filmed today? It's the Joe Mangle Angle.
Wow.
I don't know why I know that, but yeah, I do happen to know that. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm impressed or disappointed, to be honest with that.
I was just looking at the news earlier. It was Guy Pearce was on Neighbours apparently this week, so I saw something about him being there and filming.
He's not too big for that kind of stuff.
That's exactly what I thought. So that's what drew me to it.
Okay, so we'll move on from the questions. Did we have any suggestions come through for mangles of our original beers?
We had a great suggestion from someone in the audience for a variant on Tonko, so a mint variant called Mint Choc Tonko.
So off camera you probably haven't heard that one. We've had a suggestion for a mint chocolate variant of Tonko. Yes. Okay.
I think it'd be divisive. I'd love that. I think it sounds really nice, but I know some people despise mint in beers. We've done a mint beer before. It was a mojito-based beer, and we brewed it with a brewery from Leeds called Wild Child.
Yeah.
And it was brewed at their brewery, so they pretty much chose the recipe. And there was 2 different mint leaves that you could have used: peppermint and spearmint. And
peppermint is the kind of really nice, clean mint flavour. Turns out if you put spearmint into a sour beer, it ends up tasting like baked beans.
That was peas, mushy peas.
Was it mushy peas?
It was mushy peas, yeah.
It was mushy peas, right.
Peas and mint. So enough of
So
pea
apologies
talk.
to Kira if you ever in fact watch this video back.
But yeah, we made a mushy pea beer. So I think the next step is to go on to the next beer, and for once we're actually lacking, aren't we? I'm getting a pile of part fills. There's something really small that Ant's just pointed to, which I can't read. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any questions? Did people in the audience find this style interesting, different? Did anyone hate it? Like it?
Indifferent.
Different. Yeah.
Well, I'll answer you then, Wade. I've really enjoyed this one. I really look forward to brewing and releasing this particular beer. And of the beers that we're consuming tonight, with the exception of the one that we're going to conclude the evening on, this was the one I was looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I've drank quite a lot of this of grapefruit lupulin because I think when you're sat in the sunshine, it's quite a nice, refreshing type of beer. So when we packaged it, I made sure I grabbed a few cans and took them home and had a barbecue and drank plenty of it. It was a fun beer to drink and something that we've wanted to do for a while. So on to the second beer of the evening, which is Lee's beer to talk about. But
yes, I need to finish this so I can pour it. So the second beer up is a beer called Papaya Don't Preach. You'll get what the inspiration for that is if you look at the can. You'll see a certain pop icon on there. So we've called it Papaya Don't Preach because we've used papaya alongside lemongrass and some ginger in a style called a Berliner Weisse. Before I go into detail as to what that style is, I want to ask you, our audience, a question first. So you hopefully are aware that we do a lot of these kind of pop culture references, celeb references. So if you were us and you were going to do our next celeb pop icon pop culture reference, what is it you would do? Who would you reference and what would you call it? So hopefully you can have a little bit of fun with that one. And by the time we get to the end of this section, you will have some suggestions for us.
I just heard someone in the audience reference Britney Spears. So I'm thinking, hop me baby one more time.
Somebody must have done that one already.
Surely. Yeah.
So what we have here with the Berliner Weisse is it's a traditional German style. It contains 60% Pilsner malt and 40% wheat. So in most German styles, you wouldn't be permitted to use wheat. They have something called we know it as the purity laws. They call it the Reinheitsgebot. And what it means is they are very purist about their production of beer. They only permit 4 key ingredients. So that's water, yeast, barley, and hops. Thank you for bailing me out there.
Nice.
With the exception of certain traditional regional styles. If there's a traditional regional style, they make an exception and you can use the odd other thing. This is one of those regional exceptions. You're allowed to use wheat in this. So given it's called a Berliner Weisse, what part of Germany do you think it's originally from? Anyone? No, you're wrong, it's Hamburg. Yeah, genuinely. It comes from Hamburg originally, but it became popular in Berlin, so that it then gained the name Berliner Weisse. Although actually the beer historians now think the original origins of this beer is in the Flanders region of Belgium, where they're renowned for their sours. They think somebody probably transitioned through that area, came into Germany, and then developed this style of beer. So this style Berliner Weisse was known by Napoleon's troops in the early 1800s as, where's my prompt gone? The Champagne of the North, because of its gently bittered, clean, crisp, and very kind of sparkling effervescence. So his troops would march on this stuff. So it's been soured with a bacteria called lactobacillus. It's the same thing that you have in your gut. It's the same thing that gives that sour character to a yogurt. So we put that into one of our kettles. We hold it at a temperature akin to your body at about 37 to 40 degrees. We hold it overnight. Overnight, it creates this kind of lactic compounds. It drops the pH. You get this clean, crisp sharpness. You then boil it again to kill off this bacteria. You don't want it to carry on in the process. And you then do whatever you want with that beer to create different flavors. We've then fermented it with a very clean yeast. What I mean by clean is it's going to make alcohol and it's not going to contribute flavor. So we've used a very clean yeast, and then we've added some lemongrass, some papaya, and just a hint of ginger to give it a bit of a back notes. So in Germany, though, it wouldn't be permitted to use fruit in the way that we have. And the way in which they get around that is if you went to somewhere traditional in Germany and they served you a Berliner Weisse, what you might find is they might have some syrups on the bar, and you would be able to adulterate your Berliner Weisse with those syrups. And the type of syrups, the most common one is Woodruff. It's like this green kind of syrup you put in it, and it makes your Berliner Weisse taste like a cream soda. It's magnificent.
So we did our first Berliner Weisse we brewed quite a few years back, and it was an unadulterated Berliner Weisse, so no fruit and nothing, just brewed in the traditional way. So it's a really easy-going, low ABV beer, and it was super refreshing. So when you'd been in our small brewery, believe it or not, given the size of myself and Lee, we used to have to climb inside the kettle and empty all the hops and climb out really hot and ready for some refreshment. So the Berliner Weisse was always a good shout. And one of the things we did is we bought a lot of these syrups that Lee mentioned, and you get them in this little pump thing, and we did go a bit over the top. I think we bought about 40 different flavours, it felt like, and it's just really nice to try different flavours out and see how they worked. And the Woodruff one Lee mentioned was amazing, really, really good. Sour cherry was out of this world. It was just so refreshing. And there's all sorts of really cool little flavour ones that we got, and I can't remember ever trying a papaya one, but the lemon and the lime, lemon and lime used to make a really nice, refreshing, like alcoholic 7-Up. So there's some really good flavours you can get. So if you ever do find a venue serving traditional Berliner Weisse and they have the syrups, it's a really good chance to experiment.
Okay. Right.
So it's back down to me again, isn't it?
It's up to you again. So now Ben's going to give you a little update on some stuff we're doing with the venues.
So we always try to make the venues the best they can be, and it's quite difficult because over the last few years we were closed for long periods of time, and it's hard to invest and spend money on somewhere when you haven't actually made any money on there for such a long period. But things have picked up a lot. People are back out drinking. We've spent a year pretty much since we first reopened the venues, and we want to try and start enhancing them. We know that the weather's going to be great, even touch wood, given that we're in England, for the next few months. So we've started the ball rolling in our brewer's yard at the front of the tap room. So we've built some more permanent fencing. We've put some we've levelled out the really uneven car park that we had, and we put some decking out there because previously we have the beer cellar style tables which were on a 40-degree angle, and you're trying to eat your food and drink a pint.
You put your pint down on it and run away from you. Now we've got a nice flat surface out there.
So we've done a bit of work out there to start with. We're getting some more permanent furniture built out there probably in the next week or so. So we're hoping that's going to be a really amazing space for this summer. So that was the starting point. We've done a little bit of work in our rear beer garden in the tap room as well. So Uncle Tony, as he's known, who's actually Lee's uncle who works for us, but everyone calls him Uncle Tony. And it's not a Sopranos reference. It's just he is just Uncle Tony. He does some amazing work. He's just really good craftsman. So he's come up with loads of good ideas we're working on at the moment. So if you go out to our you can't. There's a private party out there tonight. But if you do get a chance to come down here, go out to our rear Riverside Beer Garden, and we've got some really cool, comfortable benches he's been building recently. So we're going to do something similar in the front in the brewer's yard. Crossing Leeds, we've just got finally got some cafe barriers, which are like the little guards that make you feel a little bit more enclosed when you sat out the front of a venue. So we've always had outdoor seating, but we've got some cafe barriers now to make it feel a little bit better. We've got similar thing coming to Pocklington soon, but we're trying to, we're about to add more seating to the outside of Pocklington. So we're focusing a lot on the outside at the moment. And while you guys are all sat outside enjoying your drinks, we're then going to start work on the inside and try and do some enhancements and improvements inside our venues. So come down, check them out, and let us know what you think. And if you've got any ideas or what you think you'd like to... Oh, sorry, I've missed a really big one there. We're actually doing something really cool in our York venue. So we're actually underway with building a tasting room, a tasting venue. So one of the rooms will be able to book it out for a party of people to do some tasting. You'll be able to do some food tasting, food and beer pairings, or just have it as a private dining area. So we've got a few different cool ideas for that. And when I say I missed the big one, I missed the biggest one.
I'm going to say I can't believe you've missed this one.
So we've actually got planning permission for our new production brewery up in Osbaldwick. So we've got planning permission to open a tap room up there as well. So this is really exciting for me because I live about 5 minutes from our new brewery. So I can pop in on a Friday and Saturday and have a pint. So what we're doing is we're going to do a weekend tap room up there where you can come down, have a couple of pints, and then go on brewery tours. So we'll show you the new facility. So if anyone managed to come down for our birthday, you got to see a sneak preview of what we were doing. So we finally got planning permission to be able to do that permanently, and we're just going through licensing at the moment to get permission to sell alcohol there, which is a bit back to front, but we'll get there hopefully in the next few weeks, and then at the start of July we're looking to launch that space. So if you live in York or you live further afield and you come into York, come up and say hello. We'll make sure we keep it on social media so you know what status we're at. It's going to be quite a cool place.
And all being well, the next of these tasting sessions will be on Friday, July the 8th, and it will be held up in Osbaldwick in the new tap room, when unfortunately Wayne will not be able to join us because he will be getting his head down in the pod, as we've heard earlier. But more on that coming up later. Let's not ruin the surprise there. Sir, have we had any suggestions yet for pop icons, celeb references? Have we got any in the room?
Yeah, so we've just had a brilliant one in the chat. It's a chili stout, red hop chili peppers.
Nice.
Red hop chili peppers for a chili stout we've had, right? Right. Tom Brew's Mission Impossible. I like that one. Anyone? Oh, you've got to do better than this, guys. Come on.
We've got one.
Go on. Then. We've got one from the back of the room.
My sister-in-law's got Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh.
We
So two more in the chat. So classic film themes. So Groundhog Day.
yeah.
Groundhog
We've done
Day.
that. We've done it.
We've already made that one.
Do your research, guys. And then another one, Beverly Hills Hop.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Hop.
I don't think anyone's done that. That's
Right, yeah, we'll look into that one. Okay.
Catherine Citra Jones.
Hopgun's just been done. Yeah. Catherine. Oh, I suggested that one time. I can't remember. Oh, it was when we did a live stream at Christmas time. I remember we were doing talk about a Welsh inspired beer, and anyway.
Catherine Citrus.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's rubbish, I know.
Predator reference.
Get to the hopper. That's the one.
I like that.
That's probably my favourite. Yeah.
Fix.
Okay.
It's a fix.
We're getting a flood of suggestions in the comments now, so I'm just going to read them out one by one. So, Slip Hop Imperial Stout, Goosebusters.
I've got
Goosebusters.
Park it there, Peter. Bring your laptop and sit next to Lee, because guess what? I'm off the toilet first.
Oh, how predictable.
Sorry.
Right, so Pete's just about to join us on camera and read out a few of your suggestions. So everybody, this is Pete.
Hey guys,
Wearing one of our new Mutan Clan t-shirts that you can get through the website.
available now online.
Right, so what other suggestions have we had? Look at you being all professional.
I know, you can tell I've done this before.
Right,
Right, so, we're getting loads of suggestions here in the comments now. So we've got an Iron Maiden themed beer one. It's Fear of the Dark beer. Like that one.
Hold that thought,
Yeah.
because we might be talking about an Iron Maiden themed beer later on, actually.
Funny that. We've also got we've got a Johnny Depp reference here. So since Johnny Depp has just been to York, how about Black Sparrow IPA?
That's right. Yeah, well, he may have got off, but I'm not sure he's won public opinion. So I'm not sure we'll be doing that one anytime soon.
That's it. Sounds like a PR nightmare, that one. So, how about okay? So put on the film Knives Out, Knife Stout, Take Me Stout, Stout of the Woods, Running Stout of Time. I like that one.
All right, move on from the stout, guys.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be doing celeb references.
Yeah. Chili Ray Cyrus.
Someone's lost his drink.
Yeah, that's still bad as good. Yeah.
So I was saying, how about Stranger Things inspired beer? Well, if you have any ideas or any puns, send them through into the chat now, guys.
Please, without giving any of the plot away, because I've only seen the first
Yeah.
new series.
Spoiler warning, guys. This is a spoiler-free chat.
Brown ale.
Bobby Brownell, I believe someone's already done that one. Yeah, and also not a character I'd wish to draw association with.
I think, unless we get some more comments through, I think that's it. Do you have any more ideas from anyone in the audience?
Chili Joel.
Chili Joel.
Chili Joel, that's good.
Like that.
Chili, just anything with chili.
I mean, I love chili, but chili is like my reference earlier when I was saying about making India Stouts and red IPAs. I might want to drink one. I'm going to find it hard to sell one. So I'm not sure we're going to be doing too much chili beer soon.
Hey, here we go. We're getting some Stranger Things ideas now. It's running up that pill, Snow. So, was it Kate Moss who originally did? Kate Bush, not Kate Moss.
Which I've just heard today. The Stranger Things has almost got that to #1.
Yeah, I think I read an article where like she's been in the top 10 for the first time ever because that song was used in that series. So, yeah, good on her. Great artist.
Anyway, you're getting kicked out.
I'll be back.
That'd be good.
Anyway, that's Pete. Hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more from him over the months to come. Okay. So
is it time to, almost time, but we've got a couple more questions, then we're going to bring our guests on. And the reason I'm stalling is because one of our guests followed me to the toilet. So.
Well, we have a few more questions while we wait. Ooh, if I don't throw them on the floor. Right. Normal beer uses barley. This uses wheat. Are there any other plants that would ferment to excellent beer? And that is from Steve. So you can use all forms of cereal grain. Excuse me. In beer, the ones we would most commonly use are barley, oats, and wheat. Sometimes we use rye. You can also use non-gluten containing ones like spelt to make truly gluten-free beers. Unfortunately, they don't taste very nice, so we don't use spelt. But yeah, almost any cereal grain could be used to make a beer, but it has to have barley as the backbone for it to be a beer.
So I got a question from Matthew Barker. I've seen Vocation just release some beers on the Perfect Draft machine. I've seen some other breweries doing the same. Does Brew York have any plans to do this, or is it something similar? Yes. I can't expand much more on that because we haven't got anything agreed. But yeah, we do. It's something we've been working on for quite a long time.
They have plans to extend their craft range. I'm sure we are one of many talking to them. Hopefully, it becomes something. There are no guarantees at this point.
I've got another one from Matthew Barker. What is the inspiration for the Japanese-themed Tonko can design? Japan. Sorry. No, so we did a Empress Tonko came out of an open day we did during Dry January a few years back. So we invited lots of people down to brew the beer with us, and in the open brew day we talked about ideas and inspirations for names, and we'd already brought out Imperial Tonko, and somebody said, how about you do, because it was going to stronger beer, someone said, how's about you do Empress Tonko? And we thought it was a really cool name, and we put it to our branding guys and we discussed with them, and they came up with this theme of doing a Japanese like samurai style.
The garden with the cherry blossom and the koi and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
So yeah, it was, and one of the things we've been talking about. So I said about the venue improvements and enhancements that we're trying to work on. One of the things that I really want to do outside in the brewer's yard. So we've got the decked area where there'll be lots of like bench style seating, like German beer cellar style. And the other side of the garden, I'd like to do like a Japanese theme. So we've got usually street food here. We brew beer for Gyle Brewery from Hong Kong. So I'd like to do that type of theme. And we've got again, Uncle Tony does these really cool like tree art things where it's tree branches that are mounted to the wall with blossoms and stuff. They look like real trees. I think it's going to look really cool. So we're going to try and do something out there. So you'll see the Empress theme running into the new yard, hopefully.
Okay. Would you guys consider doing a Belgium-style beer with champagne yeast, Bob? So we have tried to do a few Belgian beers in the past. We've done a couple of quads, a standard quad, a fruited quad. I think that's as far as our Belgian range goes.
Barrel-aged quad.
They've sold okay, but I mean they are a little bit far removed from what we're known for. So yeah, they're not what really people expect us to be doing. So not the best of sellers.
So another one from, a one from Pete Riley. How are you doing, Pete? How's Kerry? Hope you guys are good. Will Brew York be at Peak Ender? Hell yes. That's our next camping trip. So we're really enjoying that one. So we're going up to Peak Ender. We're going to be doing a talk in one of the tents, tasting, and we'll probably take, if anyone's going up to Peak Ender, come and join us for our tasting. We'll probably dig out some of our super rare State of Mind, some of the original stuff. So the cherry, the barrel aged cherry Tonko and things like that. Some of the ones that sold out about 2 years ago. And I have a little stash behind my desk at work that I like to bring out for these events. So if you come to Peak Ender, come and see us at the tasting. It'll be really good.
And I'm going to hold back the final question for later on because I think it's about time we got our guests on camera.
Woo! So we'll shuffle up a little bit. So, Anne, can you? Oh no, he's doing his other magic. I'll do it.
So Brian and Weisse have just been mic'd up off camera. You may notice I don't wear my microphone.
Loud enough.
Because I am loud enough. I am actually told that I have to have my microphone in front of me over there.
You probably don't need it. You probably pick it up on my microphone.
Probably.
Does mine auto-translate?
So yeah, have you got your team lined up ready to do the translation?
I will find out. We'll see if anyone shows up in the comments or not.
Right. So this is Brian, and this is Weisse. So they're joining us from Northern Monk. Really, I would say a brewery that doesn't really require much of an introduction because they are such a huge part of the current UK craft beer scene. So founded back in 2013.
Yep.
Known for the epic beer that is Faith.
Yep.
Known for two of the kind of hallmarks of the UK beer event calendar, I would say, with Hop City and Dark and Wild City.
Yep.
Is that? Have I missed any major things out?
No, I mean they're pretty headline things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so founded in 2013 by my co-founder, if you like, Russell. Did a period of contract brewing, just to sort of get the name out there and just test the water, and then Russ managed to find some.
Sorry, give me that can back. I need it to stabilise this.
Sets fall apart. So then, yeah, we managed to find some investment, and Ross came looking for a brewer, appetite for a brewer, and I got very drunk at a beer festival, and the rest is history.
Yeah, best beer you ever made, eh?
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. I have my moments, so I wonder. And so then, yeah, we went and found the old flax store down in Holbeck. Managed to find a beautiful 160-year-old Grade 2 listed mill to call home. Set up a 10-barrel, 15 hectolitre brew house in there. Started brewing there in August 14. So in my mind, that's always kind of the anniversary, but technically, yeah, Northern Monk will be 9 years now. I think we've taken about 3 different dates at various points, but first, for me,
You're like the Queen of the world.
I know, we've got multiple birthdays, various different ages, but yeah, I mean, the first brew day is certainly the day I sort of hang on to, 4th of August, 7th of August. 7th of August. I hang on to it really well.
Really well, yeah. So take in August.
The most important is, I was saying earlier it's going to be a 10th anniversary next year.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is going to depend on the date.
I mean,
what date are you going to celebrate your 10th on?
No, yeah, we've started going by the day the company actually started brewing beer, which is 2013.
So next year you are going to celebrate.
Next year will be 10 years, yeah. Which, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't thought about it yet. So I'm sure we always pull something out of the bag, don't we?
Amped up Hop City.
Well, that's killed one of my questions for later.
Oh, I assume that was the question.
What are your plans?
I've already answered that.
So
I'm not sure. We've currently working on the 9th anniversary beer, and I mean we're getting pretty good at planning ahead. So, but yeah, I think we take it as October as well. So we got 18 months. 15 months to work on it. So, but yeah, I mean, we always go pretty big on any excuse like that. So, yeah, Amped Up Hop City is probably pretty close, and I imagine there'll be many beers to commemorate it as well.
So the question we always get asked, which I'm going to flip for you guys, is people say to us 6 years ago, could you ever imagine what you had growing into what it's become? So to you, 9 years ago, could you ever have imagined what you were doing at that time that could have snowballed into what you have now?
No, I think even Ross, who was the more ambitious one, would definitely don't think envision what we have. I think if you asked me that question 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was already kind of like, yeah, this is already got pretty big. So yeah, it's grown.
Even by craft beer standards, your growth curve has been ridiculous.
We're still craft though.
I'm not questioning that.
That's good to hear.
But it's just people will say to us, God, I can't believe how much you've done in 6 years. But then we can look up the road and go, Jesus Christ, have you seen what these guys are doing?
Yeah, no, it's scary. Like we're brewing 4 times a day. We've about 8. I always forget to check these kind of facts before I come on these things, but we're around about 90 members of staff now across the brewery and sales and marketing and finance and 2 tap rooms and I kind of write the recipes and the creative side and a bit of the compliance side, but the whole operation is you require very much require the right people to, as you guys are discovering, like the operational side is the key bit and finding the people who can spin those kind of plates.
Which isn't easy, but we like you have got some great people in the team now that we could not do it without. Absolutely.
So before we chat any more to the guys, let's chat a little bit about the beer we've got in front of us, or if you've caught up, the beer we've got in front of us. So Clever Gyle was the one that Lee referenced earlier. So it's a very, very tenuous Jurassic Park pun. So if you remember the scene where the raptor, I can't remember what it picks up, and he says "clever girl." So that's where it came from, and we're trying to do the dinosaur theme for the Neon Raptor to collaboration.
It's because one's caught his attention in front,
and the
then
side
one comes round
flanking,
side, and he goes "clever girl" just before he gets eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guys at Neon Raptor are known for their a couple of things, but one of them is their really good pale beer. So we wanted to do something pale with these guys, but typically we get excited when we do collaborations and we go stupid and we go really strong. We decided this when we brewed this beer, we were going to go a little bit more sessionable than normal. So 5.1%, we've made it really accessible. It's a modern IPA, so much more hazy, and then this is my backup pint, which is Lupu, and you can see it's although it's condensing a bit, it's a pretty clear pint of an American pale ale versus a more modern style of pale ale. Both same strength. Both taste completely different. This one is easy going, less piney, hoppy. Well, very hoppy, but much easier to drink, more juice-like, a little bit sweeter, which is what we were tending. So Lee's put this one on my prompt on purpose because he knows that I love the shit malt that we use in this. He tells me it's chip malt, but it sounds better when it's shit malt. So
I would say that as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, every brewer
You
calls
shouldn't
it.
encourage him. Someone actually laughed this time. You should.
Yeah.
So intentionally hazy. We've used a lot in the grist, which is the grain bill, to try and encourage a haze in the beer. So oats, wheat, and like I said, a bit of shit in there.
Shit.
The hops we've used Equinaut or Euconaut, it depends how you pronounce it. And Simcoe in the hop side, and that means when we boiled the beer we used those hops, and then we dry hopped it in the fermenter, which means we added more hops once the beer was fermenting, and we used Strata in that, which is a very passion fruit like taste. El Dorado, which has got more pineapple, which is what we were talking about earlier, and Mosaic, which is one of our favourite hops.
So, are you guys done a lot with Strata yet?
Yeah, fair amount. Got introduced to it pretty early on and got blown away by it. It's I got roped into another YouTube chat about Strata at one point, almost like the spokesman. But I love it.
That's peak geekery.
I know, right? I love how diverse it is. It's I feel like it's got like the dankness of Simcoe. It's got that wonderful passion fruit character that you get from like a Zach or a Big Secret, and it's also got all like the underlying tropical and lime notes. I think it's intense on flavour, but for something to be that intense and still tick so many boxes, it's very common to get a hop that's very intensely tropical or very intensely dank, but to get one that's intense across multiple flavour profiles, and like we do a beer which is it's a transient, which one of our core IPAs is Citrus Strata. And that beer started off as 60-40 Strata Citra, and it's now 60-40 Citra Strata because the Strata actually overpowered the Citra. And I don't think I've ever said that about. I never said that about another hop. Apart from like your Sabro, which is so unique.
I hate Sabro. We don't talk about Sabro.
I thought you guys loved that. It's like pastry hop.
I like
Pastry
it.
hop.
I like it. That's okay. So sorry, before you go, would you say Strata is probably the biggest thing to happen in terms of hops for maybe the last 5 years?
I think so.
Bold
Like
claim?
speaking to the
No,
group,
I think it was. I mean, you had Citra, you had Mosaic, and I think it's probably the biggest thing that's come along since Mosaic.
yeah, that was my view on it as well. And also there's some amazing hops coming through, but the one thing about Strata is the farmers love it as well. And that's quite rare where you get a hop that the brewers are going crazy about and the growers really enjoy it as well. That it yields really well, it harvests early, it ticks every single box, and that's pretty unique in itself, which just gives it really good longevity. And like I say, it's just so diverse. I've had a lot of fun playing with it.
So what I didn't mention when I talked about the beer earlier is something that's really important in beer in general is the yeast that you use to ferment the sugar into alcohol. So this is one we've used, a Conan yeast strain, and Conan is one of the it's the yeast that kind of founded this style of beer in America. So it's what is it, Heady Topper, the Alchemist.
Yeah.
It's a yeast strain that a really cool brewery across in America uses, and they were the inspiration to what a lot of breweries have gone on to do in the UK scene. So it's a really good yeast strain, but because we don't. We reuse certain yeast, but not when a beer like this where we've heavily dry hopped it. So it's quite an expensive yeast to use as well. What do you guys use stuff like that? So out there yeast strains sometimes. Well, it's not out there, but
Not particularly like our main production side, but then I guess a bit more old black. So
Yeah, Ads gets a bit more freedom on the original kit to play around. So he's pretty obsessed with Kveiks, so he likes playing around with different Kveik strains. But yeah, we have two house yeasts at our main site, for like cleaning, for heating, for like West Coast and East Coast basically. And
makes it easy with reusing yeast because yeast is expensive, as you know. Like.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, we play around. The flag stores where we try out those kind of stuff too, and if we absolutely love them, then we can look at bringing them in for a few specials at the main site. But
so Conan's a great yeast, and I think we've done an okay job with this one, but it's not the easiest of yeasts to work with. But thinking about it, the first time I drank Heady Topper was at Hop City.
yeah.
first time a lot of people tried it. I think it surprised a lot of people as well because
they had
not.
that and Focal Banger.
Yeah.
And they also had a big stout which they were doing in cans that you could walk away with at the end.
Forgot what it's called, but yeah, British.
Delicious or something like that, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Gorgeous beer. Yeah, Heady Topper confuses everybody because
I prefer Focal Banger.
everyone expects Alchemist beers to be like really juicy and thick, but the guy that Focal Banger's the only beer that he intentionally makes juicy. He's like I like my beer to smell like my weed. Literally, there's an approach to everything. So like, Heady Topper is Simcoe and Columbus. It's incredibly dank, and the reason it got fame was because it was also hazy and it had a bit of sediment in the can, so it had a big note on the can saying "drink from the can."
But also, what we understand as the East Coast style, the hazy style, has moved on a bit since the early days.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
It used to be what the Alchemists were doing now. Now it's much more wheat heavy. It is really about the juice.
Yeah, exactly. The likes of Half and Trillium and True Hairs, they've just taken it on to a whole different category. But I also absolutely love the Alchemist. Like that beer started everything. Focal Banger's great, and John Kimmick's like a godfather of East Coast beer, I guess, and he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And yeah, it was good. They just love their beer, and they do a wide range of styles as well. Like they're not like just East Coast like so many are over there. Like the Imperial Stout's incredible.
That's a conversation we can have later on, because Northern Monk, if you're not aware, they're not just a UK renowned brewery, they're an internationally renowned brewery, and you've worked with some of the world's best brewers. Certainly most of the US guys.
Yeah, certainly the modern, the trendy guys. Yeah, we just I guess we've never been shy just to reach out to these guys, and like me and Ross did a trip to the East Coast in 2016, I think, and like we went and visited Alchemist and Hill Farmstead and Trillium and like Bissell Brothers up in
Treehouse.
Portland, and went to Treehouse. Went, yeah, you joined the queue at Treehouse for a 4-pack, and yeah, just right. Well, obviously, I mean, it set us off where we are now. Like we really, like Faith and Heathen changed a lot following those trips, based on what we tried and what we'd learned, and but we also like made some friendships there, and it's just built up over time. And Hop City's been great, an opportunity. Like managed to get some amazing breweries with Hop City, and you create friendships. And
there's a good point that you just made then, because I remember early days Faith looked very different to what it looks like now, taste wise. I've got to be honest, I can't quite remember. I'm sure it has changed a lot in taste as well, but and that was all inspired by well, not all, but largely inspired by trips across the east coast of America.
yeah, it was a bit of multiple factors. So yeah, first brewed Faith. I know we launched it at Crappy Rising, what is now I can't remember what it's called
Brew
now,
LDN.
but yeah, Brew LDN. So we remember taking it to that. And it was one of the early ones, and yeah, it was a 5.1% for starters, and it was a citrus single hop. And yeah, it was before hazy beer was a thing. So I remember the first brew sheet was something like extra pale Munich and a bit of dextrin, something like that. I'm not sure there was even any wheat or oat in there.
Wow.
And yeah, but it was the first time we ever did a single hop beer, because I'd like everyone at sort of advised me in recipe was like never do a core beer with just one hop, because if you can't get that hop, especially as a small brewer in like 2015, 2016, you're scrambling for whatever you can get.
As well.
And that's why it stopped, because we brewed it for a while, and then that was like Citrus contract was basically run out, and Heathen came about as basically like, well, let's just give Faith a send off. Let's do like a double Faith.
If I could just give our audience some context there. So what you're trained to do as a brewer is to use a minimum of 3 hops. So if you are then not able to get one of those hops and you have to drop it out of the recipe, it's less noticeable to the people that are drinking your beer. So if you only use 1 hop in your beer and then you can't get that hop, you're pretty screwed.
It's now a different beer.
Or even if it just has a really bad harvest and it tastes like rubbish, it's like.
And we brought a new beer out. It's called Faith in Mosaic.
Well, yeah, I mean that was an option.
That's going to be available.
But yeah, we decided to do a 7% version called Heathen, and then we were like, right, we've got enough to do 2 batches of that, and just after we dry hop the second batch, I remember I got an email from one of the suppliers saying, I found a load of Citra, do you want it? But the reason we didn't bring it back was because it was also the same time we first started canning, and we needed to decide on 3 beers to be printed cans. So it was Eternal, New Old, and Novel Star at the time, so Faith and Heathen got brewed occasionally, but didn't really come back until we expanded to Sydenham Road and did a bit of a rebrand and brought some 440s into the range, and they came back as wheat and oats, Citra, Mosaic, basically everything that we'd tried in the States. We brought back almost new beers.
But back then, when the reason that, or 2 reasons, you guys at home loved the stickers, which is why we started doing them, because we used to use fully shrink sleeved cans, which weren't as easy accessible for the stickers and stuff like that. But we, in our core beer, we use fully printed cans. You guys use fully printed cans. The minimum order quantity on a fully printed can a year ago was about 75,000 cans. It's gone to about 350,000 cans now, and it was probably around that similar level when you guys first
we managed to get to 50,000.
Oh wow!
That was I'd say it was a big commitment.
Was that back then?
This is 2015, I think. So yeah, this was.
Yeah, now
we had to pick 3 beers, and 3 beers we could stick with, and like I say, we couldn't guarantee the citrus supply to do a Faith. So.
And it's hard to put that into context, but people who subscribe to us, who follow us and buy our beer, know that we have a certain number of beers in supermarkets. That is the only way that we can sell enough volume of beer to justify a fully printed can, really, because it doesn't matter how many beers you guys drink at home, you're never going to buy 70,000 cans of us, unfortunately, and especially not going to get to 350,000 cans.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
For those of you in the room, we can give you some degree of context. So if we cleared all of you out and all of the furniture and only stacked this room full of those cans, cramming in every little corner, this still wouldn't be big enough. That's how many cans. That's how many cans we're talking about.
Oh, we actually did this. We used to use this as a storeroom, so yeah, we used to store all sorts in here. But yeah, and when we're fortunate enough to have grown over the last 6 years to get to the scale we're at, and we can commit to volume of cans, and we've got enough warehouse space to make sure that we've got a place to store that. If we don't use it quickly, we can still use them. You guys have been not fortunate. You've done well. You've sold great beer, and you've been able to do the same thing. Some of the smaller breweries out there or the newer breweries don't have that luxury, so you can't get a fully printed can. And bear in mind that just the label on a can costs between, if you've got enough volume, it'd be about 5 to 6p, but a lot of breweries will be paying 10 to 12p just for the label. The can itself, if it's printed, costs you the same as an unprinted can. So that extra, something as small as 10p per can, has to be added onto the price that you guys pay at home. So it's a huge, huge difference when the ingredients cost of a can's maybe 20, 30p. So in context, it's such a big additional cost that it can have a massive knock-on effect. And just to complete that picture there, duty, tax to the government is probably 30, 40p. So yeah, there's lots of different elements of
He manages
cost.
to squeeze us in every time.
I know, he does right as well.
Pete got a prompt saying, don't let them talk about tax, don't let them talk about duty. Move
You
them on, move them
understand
on.
where the costs come from.
Pete, some development points. You're not doing very well as keeping us off.
Keeping us off the tax.
We're not supposed to talk
Send in
about.
some questions for you. We've got loads
Yeah.
for the North.
All right, here we go.
Well, before we get into that, do you feel like you've talked enough about what it is you guys have done, your history, what you're looking to do?
I mean, I'm happy to take.
Take the question.
Yeah, so I think got a lot of people heard the story. I can tell the story all day, but let's see what. Yeah, find out what people want to know. That's the way.
Fair
to do
enough.
it.
Here we go. Right, I'll play
God.
Quizmaster.
I mean, I may regret that decision. I should have controlled the narrative, right?
Wow, there's a lot of questions.
Will Northern Monk make the Love Heart as a core beer, Matt? Have I heard that right?
Love Hearts. No, it's a core beer. Making Matt, we are doing a series. We're doing a reimagined series in our patrons at the moment, where we take some of our favourite beers and see if we can make them even better, basically. So I imagine Love Hearts has got a decent shot at making that series at some point.
I've got a good one, again from Matt. What was the inspiration for the Aunt Bessie's beer?
Just a good northern brand. Like,
Jam roly-poly. Like,
I mean, who doesn't love a jam roly-poly and a Yorkshire pudding? Right?
personally for me, that was one of the ones for a view where I saw the brew sheet, and I usually didn't like the big fruited pale ales or shot of that. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna like that. As soon as we transferred in, got into can, I tried one. I was like, damn it, it's really good. I was like,
That's turned out banging, hasn't it?
yeah.
Nah, we've
like my favourite monk beer now.
well, one of the infamous things we've done over the years is every April Fool's we'd announce a beer, which sounded. I like 12 every April Fool's. And so we started. First beer we did was a beer with Sharknado, the like.
Oh God, the film.
B-list film series, and then the year after was Henderson's Relish, and the year after that was Aunt Bessie's, and every single time everyone's like April Fool, but we actually make the beers. And the Aunt Bessie.
Was it always the intention to make the beers, or did you see the reaction you got to it?
No,
Like,
the
Jesus,
intention was
we've got
the intention was always to make the beer.
Smart.
That's why we announced them at like afternoon because
People won't believe.
Oh,
because you're
afternoon.
full
Yeah,
on you. It's 1 p.m. You're idiots. And then 3 days later, we'd be like, this beer is now on the web shop. We'd always try and time it so the beer was
so
nearly
you-
ready. So a few days later, we could announce it.
So you not only were you going to do it, you'd done it. It was ready to
No,
go.
that was April Fool. It actually existed. But yeah, so like the Aunt Bessie's one was an April Fool's beer. We did a jam roly-poly pale and we did a Sunday roast brown ale.
Sunday roast brown.
And the jam roly-poly was very well received. And then I think it was I think Morrison's actually approached us saying, fancy bringing that back. So we reached out to Aunt Bessie's and they went, yeah, it was a great success last time. Let's keep it rolling. So we're now doing the Aunt Bessie's jam roly-poly.
Keep it rolling.
You're faster than I am. So and it's absolutely flying, and yeah, I'm really happy it turned out.
So another cool one, which I'd like to back as well. Gareth has asked, will Infinity Vortex be rebrewed?
Again.
I really like that.
It's just
the first beer in the reimagined series was Infinity Vortex, and that felt like a lose-lose because like if we make it as good as the last one, then it's not as good as the last time, and if it's not as good, then it's not as good. Like it felt like we can't win that one. There's no way can we make Infinity Vortex and people are going to enjoy it as much as last time. And somehow it's like, I mean, I don't look at Untapped too much, but it's actually rating higher than the first one, which is insane. We're talking about, I mean, this is about the point where marketing will ring you up and ask you to cut me off. But for the 9th anniversary beer, we are talking about basically taking it to a public vote, what we brew for the 9th anniversary. And we're generally at the point where, like, if we do a public vote, everyone's going to see Infinity Vortex. So we're currently debating whether we include it in the vote.
And this is,
But then we're also going to do a staff beer, and then it's the same question,
Infinity
right?
Vortex and then you do, yeah.
So I mean, it's been really brewed and it's great, and too much of a good thing, right?
well, yeah.
Do you have any plans to revisit the quintuple IPA from Tom Frost?
Oh, that thing, yeah. No specific plans, but I imagine at various landmarks, like on the Fresh series, otherwise, I'm sure we'll pull something similar out. I mean, right now, nobody wants double and triple IPAs. Never mind quintuples come to the
Oh,
market.
you
So
know that too?
yeah. Everyone just wants.
We've completely abandoned the idea of doing like almost anything beyond 6% at the minute.
Yeah, it's a bit nuts.
Yes.
Like, it's swung massively now. Yeah, we were doing like 3 or 4 a month, and everyone's like, no, don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
But-
Well, I mean,
So it's not
let-
time for a quintuple, but again, never say never.
Let's
There's
just dive into that a second. So
15th anniversary.
my theory on that is because everybody went so overboard through the pandemic,
Yeah.
and they all were drinking like 3, 2. Are you off again?
2.
No.
Someone get him a bucket.
So we
What's that
probably
noise? Wayne's gone
we do
again.
like 1 dip per year, and during the pandemic we probably did like 4 in like 4 months.
Yeah.
So I think people just overdid it in that period.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Where
think-
they're now just more about the sessionable.
There's a combination of that and just
Like,
life's expensive, you know. As
yeah,
well,
guess
you know?
Yeah,
everyone's
that too, yeah.
drinking out again now.
A little
so-
bit of sensibility, and I think people have rediscovered the love of just a reliable session beer.
Yeah.
Now the pubs are back open again, and even during lockdown, we did see certainly early on we did see a big rise in like Striding Edge and stuff in the web shop. And after about 2-3 months, it was just like, yeah, we couldn't make enough double IPA. It was flying out the door like.
Through the pandemic, what were you craving? What were you wanting to drink when you got back to the pub? I know what it was for me. But
Well, what I was craving from the pub was cask, like just a good cask
I was
bitter.
gonna
What I was
say
drinking was
that,
lager, like any good brewer.
I mean, what I was craving was probably in and around the 4%, delicately hopped cask beer.
What was your first pub pint after lockdown?
Yankee, Rooster's Yankee. Absolutely love that beer.
Landlord.
Landlord, are you up for landlord?
Landlord at White Locks.
Right.
Mine went out to be. I've lived down the road from Kirksall's tap room, so it was just virtuous.
Yeah, just good, reliable beer.
Yeah, to be fair, point.
I think if
like,
people- I
same
think-
pale, like.
People starting to appreciate that again. I think I think it's the sign of like maturing of the craft industry and stuff. Same way that like mixed firm and stuff starting to get some respect. You burn skies of the
I
world
think
and
there's
so
definitely
on.
a case of absence made the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that
we
too, yeah.
learned to love what we could not have access to.
Yeah, just landlord in the bottles, just not the same.
No. That one's for us, so we'll start with that one. Any for you guys?
Do you
Expensive yeast.
do you plan on climbing any more mountains?
Oh, here's a good question.
I'll just ask one.
Oh, sorry.
Do you plan on climbing any more mountains, Brew and Beer?
I mean, we've got two more beers to do in the Haze Outdoor series. And no, never. I mean, it's been mentioned a couple of times, but when I leg out of the room, you take the hint. That was a tough one. I think there'll be at least one more big excursion, but I think we're going to theme the beer around the excursion rather than actually brewing the beer there.
Sounds like a better idea.
I mean, it's also we peaked too early. We did the highest mountain in the UK. It's like the second beer. We should have saved that one for. We should have started with, the hill behind my house. You know?
Right, question for all of us. I like this. Somebody wants to see some fighting here. So, which city has the better night out, York or Leeds?
So for me, I think this really depends on what
What you want for a night out?
So I used to live in Leeds, and I used to crave going out to York all the time, and it was mainly because
Why don't we fight that one out?
my idea of
Chicken.
of a good night is actually being able to talk to people, have a good beer, chat, and enjoy yourselves. Whereas a lot of people's idea of a good night out is really busy venues where you're fighting for the bar and there's music playing and they have a great time. Whereas that's why I like York. It's a bit quieter. There's really cool pubs, traditional or modern, depends what you're after. And I just find it a bit easier to be able to sit down, have a drink, and have a good chat, as opposed to.
We just love going to Prism in Leeds, right?
I mean, I was like ready to just jump on being like, nah, Leeds is a better night out. But also, I was even talking to you about this later today. I was just like, like Leeds on the weekend, like it's too busy. Where I prefer just sitting down at a pub and chatting to someone.
I don't know enough about the nightlife of York, if you like, but I feel like Leeds got a lot more variety.
Yeah,
In terms of when I think Leeds has got some amazing trad pubs, but like York is swimming them and it's incredible. So that side like that, if I just wanted like a good trad cask evening, York would win every time. But I think like in terms of like choice and variety, Leeds definitely wins.
It's got such a different balance of what you can do. If you like weekend hen parties, race crowd, and stag do's, Yorkshire City.
Yeah, we haven't got the race course, but we've got the rest in Leeds. Trust me.
But no, I love York. It's it's such a small city, and I chose to move here way before we started Brew York. But I do love Leeds. I love going out on a night out in Leeds, and I love the fact that we can just jump on a train. It's like 25 minutes. It's really nice to have that. Where you can get the best of both. Choose somewhere halfway on the train line, and you've definitely got the best of both.
For sure.
A bit, sitting on the fence, but I think there's aspects to both cities that
We
really.
concluded that Leeds won. That was basically the conclusion. So.
Yeah, what we didn't say is, the other thing you guys have got is, so even if you like it a bit quieter and you like the more traditional scene, or you're just a big beer geek like we probably are, you've got so many cool tap rooms as well. So there's one tap room in York, and thankfully it's ours. But
We've got multiple now.
Yeah.
And if you want to venture out, you can just spend an entire Saturday going around them.
Exactly, and you're going to have the things that I love about York, about being able to sit down, enjoy great beer, and chat to people. You can get just from going to tap rooms. You can just jump around tap rooms. So yeah, Leeds could be pretty cool for that as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, York did still win though.
Shift change.
So the only thing I heard there was that York won, yeah?
No, Leeds won, and then he tried to change the narrative. Leeds has the most variety. So.
It's certainly a more diverse city, but I
We've
think
got some great karaoke bars in Leeds.
Jesus.
Great karaoke bars.
Well, to be fair, Lee said Jesus, but I've never seen anyone get so excited about Masioki. Have you ever heard of Masioki?
Oh, I heard that was a thing of fine.
So
yeah,
good.
so finals, the headline act on the Saturday night is something called Masayoki, where they are the band, they have a big screen behind them with the lyrics on, and you are the people that sing.
Oh, I love that.
And the entire audience gets so into it. And I was like,
really good.
go on, I'll give it a go. And then I was right at the front going, yeah.
This is me.
I'll be there with you. I'll be there with you.
It was brilliant. I was quite sceptical when they said about it, but yeah, by the start of it, we were all like nodding our head in the background. By the end of it, we were at the front.
Dream that.
Such crowd, like the Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and all those kind of ones.
All the
It's
hits.
just brilliant.
Yeah, so it was loads of fun. So I think we're actually a little bit ahead of where we normally are, which is good because guess what? We've got a big hitter for the next beer.
I thought you were going to say you off to loot again.
But how quickly did I drink that one though?
Do you know what we've not done though?
The whole script.
No,
The script.
kind of important. We brewed a beer today.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did a collaboration, yeah.
Well, actually, over the course of the last 2 days, with it being a sour, we have brewed a beer.
We brewed a sour. Spoiler alert.
And we are super, super proud of the name. Took us a long time to get to the name.
So about the pronunciations.
And it, like Brian said, it's all about the pronunciation.
It's going to cause a. I think it might cause civil war in the north because every county pronounces it differently.
Because ordinarily I wouldn't pronounce this first word this way, but for the benefit of this,
Describe the style first.
So the style, it's a fruited sour IPA that's designed to be like a particular type of cherry rock cake.
Available from a high-class cafe in Harrogate.
And York.
Yes.
So it's based on that particular type of treat, and we've called it, and this is where the
Pronunciation
goes. Scone should be scone. Scone alone, Monks and Brew York.
I only can go Scotland on.
Scotland doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Scone and and to be honest, the name's good, but the label's so much better. If you fix my mouth, and give me a nose, it's a great label.
It's brilliant. So, for those of you that are at home, I mean even in the room, get your phone out, just Google the poster for Home Alone 2.
Yeah,
and
the
you'll see
Lost in New York one.
And you'll see.
And I'm Macaulay Culkin.
I think I'm Marv, and he's what's the other guy called? Larry.
You're Joe Pesci, and I'm the guy that nobody remembers the name of.
And this is Pete's first major contribution to a label, and he had this idea when we came up with the name. He's like, I'll come up with the concept and I'll send it all on to you. And we looked at it, I was like, this is going to be so funny. and United by Design, who did the label, came up with the goods. We've got a little bit of tweaks for the feedback on terms of refining it, including Brian's mouth.
It's not a good mouth.
Yeah, it's so funny,
And the
honestly.
slightly Russian hat they've got me wearing.
Yeah.
Not particularly
Let your
appropriate.
locks. Yeah, I see it. But he wears it in the film, didn't he?
Yeah.
I feel like you just need your locks behind it.
We're going to have some artistic license.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's a bit of an in joke because you guys haven't seen it yet, but as soon as you see it, you'll know what we're talking about. It's loads of fun. Pretty excited about the beer as well. So we said it was a sour IPA. It's much bigger than that. It's a fruited sour IPA, massively influenced by Lee's obsession with an American brewery.
Hudson Valley. Yeah. And actually, first time I drank their beer was also at your place.
I got a lot to answer for.
Yeah, they do some epic beers where they could be described as the way people have described us, where they put everything, including the kitchen sink in. But
Well,
somehow they balance it all.
That's what I love about Hudson is like they're in that pastry sour, I guess, territory. But like, I know people come about them, but they do it fairly properly. They brew. It's 3/4 IPA, and they blend through like a farmhouse IPA into it all as well. So it's like it's not just not just throwing fruit at it.
Yeah.
Calling it a farmhouse. Oh, but yeah, no, I think they achieve so much better balance than so many of the other US guys doing it. Like sort of the Florida style ones that are just full on pure fruit. Like I think they get great balance.
Hopefully we do it well because trying to balance that acidity and the hop character and the fruit. And for this type of thing, you're trying to bring in some sort of spicing like vanilla, cinnamon, whatever it might be.
Well,
Trying to get
I think
all
they're
of
the
that
answer to it.
to level
They're the
out in
answer.
the right spot and not have one thing dominate over the other, but all still contribute it's not an easy
Really
thing.
good. I like where we landed.
Yeah, I think so.
I say it's the spice and the vanilla stuff that actually brings it together. I think.
Yeah.
So it's like they're both quite rounding flavours.
It's essentially the seasoning in something like this.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what really matters.
So on the Clever Gyle then, so rounding off that beer before we go on to the next one, final reflections, anyone dislike it, enjoy it?
Fucking love it.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm really
Right,
pleased with this one because
Pretty much my two favourite hops in the world right now. So it was.
I think we've
wasn't
really
gonna
got the
struggle.
passion fruit to come through, don't we?
Yeah. Which is quite can be hard to.
and typically, so both myself and Lee are big West Coast fans. We talk about this all the time, and that's the style of beer we tend to drink. But the drink that I drank in about 10 minutes tonight was that one. It was just so easy going, really enjoyable, and it's only 5%. So good news, Sal. I won't be too drunk later.
I mean, so far at the end of the session, that's the one I'll be asking for another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Try it on draft upstairs.
So while we're sorting out the prompts and stuff for the next video, a couple more questions for our guests. So, who are some of the best breweries you have collabed with?
Besides ourselves.
Interpret that how you will.
I was going to say I'm assuming before today. I've read that over your shoulder 30 seconds ago. I'm still struggling to pick my list now because.
I mean, you've got a hell of a list. It's
Because
who don't you mention?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible, like, you got your headline list of, like, multiple collabs with other half and the likes, which are incredible, because, obviously, like, just those collabs have done so much for us anyway, just the exposure, and like, they've been...
Have you been out and brewed with them?
Yeah, so as I say, it's meant we've gone to, like, we've brewed with them over there, we've attended Green City, their IPA festival, can't think where they got the name from.
So other half are from other half are based in New York. If I'm sure most of you
Brooklyn,
guys
New
already
York.
know that, but amazing brewery, and we were hoping to go see them at some point this year. So.
I was trying to think of some of the ones that like were like most impactful, like as a brewer, like
What they did for you as a business?
yeah,
or what
like
they did for
yeah,
you
a bit of that and a
personally?
bit of like the ones that I remember the most. Like I remember like the first international collab we ever did was with Against the Grain from Kentucky, who like became really good friends in the back of it, and that was like I remember we were down in London. We were doing a London launch event, so we only brewed like 6 Gyles. And I was sat in Brewdog Shepherd Bush, and I get a text from one of the founders, one of the organisers of Indie Man saying, "Do you want to do a collab with Against the Grain?" And they're over for Indie Man. And we're like, so it was like Gyle number 13 for us, and it was like an American brewery wants to brew with us. That's incredible. So I remember that one, and like we say we've done multiple. So that was that was a smoked ESB, but then we did like smoking bees in the Pastry project with them, and we've done multiple variations on that over time, and they became really good friends. And then we did a trilogy a few years ago, and we had people like Cigar City and Epic from New Zealand, who are they've just been making amazing West Coast IPAs in New Zealand for like 20 odd years before craft was a thing, and so like collabs like that were like really impactful. I remember we did a collab with Voodoo during Dark and Wild 19, I think it was Dark and Wild 19, and like working on the recipe with that guy, and he was like I've never known a brewer that went so in depth into the malts and like by supplier, like which particular supplier gave him the exact flavors he wanted, and it and that created it was his first Tom Mule beer, which Astro Black, and that Astro Black's become like the base of pretty much every straight Imperial Stout we do, like no adjuncts, just straight up Imperial Stout, and every beer we've done since then has come from there, been influenced by that beer, just by the sheer. I've never encountered putting a stout grist together like that before. So they're the ones I remember.
When we go off camera, because I need to geek out.
But other half obviously the great one. Like those are the ones that stick in my head, like the ones that you like.
I'm going to extend the question a little bit further. It's a little bit obvious, perhaps, because you've done all of these great guys. Who's still on the list? Who do you really want to work with?
So for me, it's like my personal two favorite breweries are Allagash and Odell.
Oh no, yeah.
So Odell, like if Doug Odell fancies dropping by Leeds when he's not at Risters, I'll.
He's got
all and Doug are close. Like so, they're my two. There's obviously tons of other big US
we've
guys.
We've been to Allagash.
Yeah, we got.
Which in no way
and we met the guy who owns it, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
he's a real
John
nice
Todd.
guy. Yeah, we were having a nosy around their cool ship. So it's they're a what's the right word to describe the style that they do? Spontaneous fermented brewery, which means they have a cool ship, which means they run the unfermented wort over a stainless steel plate where wild yeast can then infect it to then produce spontaneously fermented beer.
A shed with some open windows where whatever's in the local fauna comes in and lands.
I think that's the best brewery tour you can ever do, just for. Like, it's everything about that company is. I mean, Russ gets a little bit annoyed that I've basically adopted Be More Allagash as our company policy. I think I just roll out all the time, but like they're like great employers. They've a great beer. They've become one of the top 50 brewers in America on a Belgian wit, which in itself is insane during the craft beer revolution. They're green. They support the local breweries. Like there's when you go as you go up to the Allagash brewery, there's a lot of industrial estates full of other breweries. It's like the next to the Bermondsey Bay Mile or something. And every brewer in there, like they've shown up at the opening parties. They offer lab support, technical support, whatever they need, and they're just everything about them is fantastic.
The bit I love is they have this literally this open policy where any brewer from any of the breweries walks into any of the other breweries' tap room and drinks for free.
Yeah.
How fucking cool is that?
That's pretty good.
I mean, we kind of have that unofficially when we do events and stuff. We all go to each other's bars.
Do you know what? I'd just get a motorhome and move into the industrial complex.
For sure. If we could move anyone, who's it going to be, Reese?
I think I don't know why it's not been mentioned before, but any of the Trappist breweries, because we've already got the monk thing down, and Chimay's my favourite brewery.
Yes.
I think
My big fan, wasn't it?
like my favourite beer ever is Chimay White, so I'd love to collab with Chimay.
That works.
So we actually got a more specific question than that earlier. So while I'll answer it, because you guys might need a little time to think about it, it was which one? A question to both breweries. Which brewery? Which which new brewery? I can't find the questions.
It's right here.
Oh, sorry. If either of you could collab with any of the newer northern breweries, who would it be? So for me, it's a bit of a cheat because they're not really newer, but St. Mars the Desert in Sheffield, amazing brewery. Martha and Dan are great people, and we actually do have a collab. We just never had the date locked in. So we are going to do it. We just haven't had a chance to lock the date in.
Actually, I feel like I brewed with a load.
Everybody.
And yeah, St. Mars would be up there, top three. Never brewed with Thornbridge. Dominic.
Really?
Yeah,
How have you never done that?
Don't know.
So
Not with Thornbridge. I just want to brew with Dominic. Come on, Dom. I want to brew you. He wants it, Dom. Come on, Dom Driscoll. Come on.
Well, next time I'm talking to him, I'm going to answer.
But yeah, I mean, St. Miles will be up there as well. Like, absolutely love. They just quietly make some ridiculous beer out of a really like DIY setup and.
And then they've got a little cool ship thing, haven't they?
Yeah, they do make serving.
So they have had, or they have an ABE line, canning line, and we had one. And they were asking if we'd experienced a certain fault with the canning line before, and it was exactly the fault we had. And because of that, we had a whole box full of spare parts. Thousands and thousands of pounds worth of spare parts that we bought to make sure if it ever went down again, it didn't impact us, and we weren't canning on that line anymore. So they messaged me. I was like, yeah, I can help you out, blah blah blah. And they were like, oh, how much do you want for the parts? I said, just want some beer. Their beer is so hard to come by. They can such a small volume of it. I was like, don't worry about it. Just give us some beer.
They sent loads of beer, and we're like, that's been sold out for ages. Awesome.
So we got like a case of the beer, and everyone was like fighting over it. It's like brilliant.
Was the question new wave non-breweries, just northern breweries?
No, just.
Because I realised I missed the most obvious one of all, which is Timothy Taylor's.
Oh yeah.
We got close to that. We've been working on it for ages, and then they went and did one bloody formage, didn't they? Yeah. And we've been working on that one for 2 years.
I secretly thought you had because
we
got have them on draft in your
That was all part of the cunning plan. And Ross was like hanging out with their MD, and we're all best mates. And then suddenly there's a Timmy Taylor's Dodge collab. It's like felt a little bit betrayed there.
Because it's not like they weren't doing one with you, they just don't do them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And now they've done one with Thomas.
I know, that's fine. I mean, if there was anyone else I could do it with, like,
So thankfully, at this stage, when the notes have dropped and I can hardly read anything, it's Lee's beer to talk about. But given we've all poured it, you guys have got a can of barrel-aged State of Mind. It's the Dream Child, which is the amplified version of the birthday beer we did last year, which was the second strongest beer we did last year. So this is the 14%.
Yeah. So we did, with it being our 5th birthday, we did 5 beers. We did them at 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15%. Every single one of them a form of pastry stout. We put every single one of them into barrel. And this is the first of them to come back out of barrel. So we had a lovely little exercise with the team, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, where we tasted a load of barrels, and the way in which we do that is we drill into them. We make a small hole, we get a small amount of the barrel out into a little glass, and then we sample it, and then we seal it with a stainless nail. Nail. Jesus.
One sip is all it takes.
This is before I drink the 14%. And then we all compare notes on what we think about the beer. Is it ready for release? Have we left it in barrel too long? Does it need longer in barrel? Would it need to be blended with something? Does it justify being released on its own? And this one we decided was ready at this time. It didn't need to be blended. We decided it was good enough on its own. We were going to go with it. And it was originally a collab with Tiny Rebel, and Tiny Rebel are renowned for a beer called Stay Puffed, which is a marshmallow and chocolate stout, which they've done various iterations of over the year. So when we got the opportunity to work with them, we thought the thing that they could bring to the table to go with one of our big stouts would be the kind of marshmallow element. So we did the entire series that we did for our 5th birthday was, called it the Freaky Franchise series. Everyone was inspired by a different horror film. So this was the Dream Child, which was the 5th film in the Nightmare on Elm Street.
We didn't talk too much about this, but this is a really cool thing that we did in terms of the Freaky Franchise series. Each beer was a different different horror series that had at least 5 in the series, and then each one we looked at what was the second
film in the
what
series.
was the second of that series. Okay, that's the name we're going to try and use on that. What was the third? What was the fourth? And we got some really cool, like really on point names from it. So this one was a Dream Child, which is a bit more vague, but we got ones like the first one was the
Ghost Dimension.
And we used Ghost Chili in it, and it just little things.
I think that was a paranormal activity one.
Yeah.
So that was one of the lesser known sort of like big franchises. but we had like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on
So
Elm Street.
this one should have come with a little bit of a disclaimer. If you need to go to the dentist anytime soon, do not drink this beer. It's got a lot of sugar in it, which means, it's super sweet, which is masking the fact it's a 14% beer. It's considering its strength, it's really easy drinking, which can be quite dangerous because before you know it, you've polished off a can of it, and I can't remember how many units we've got on it. It's on the can somewhere. But, 4.6 units in a little can like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
4.6 units, and if they ever make us do the traffic light system for calories, we as a brewery are really in trouble.
What's the colour after red? Just black.
So so it's a really cool beer. It was the base beer was a nice beer anyway. We picked up some really good barrel character from it. You probably can't. Well, you will be able to taste the barrel, but the sweetness does mask it a little bit.
One thing I was going to say is that we have done barrel-aged beers where we've done big impactful flavour on top, and I think before we've got the balance wrong, and those certain flavours have dominated over barrel. And they've dominated over whatever the spirit character is. Whereas this, I think we've got the balance in the right zone, where I am getting the big flavours, but I'm still getting the woody kind of character, and I'm still getting the bourbon back note.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
How long in barrel?
12 months.
Well, more than that. So what's it now? June?
Maybe like
14 months.
14 months. 14 months.
We were talking earlier because we were walking past our what's now very depleted barrel store, and we're actually taking a lot of the beers out of barrel now, even though we're not about to package them and release them. We are about to package them. We just think they've had enough time in barrel, and we don't think it's going to improve it anymore by leaving it in barrel any longer. Which means that puts a bit more pressure on the packaging team to get that beer through the canning line and packed. But it means it's a lot less pressure on trying to launch these beers when we want, because we've got them ready to go. They're not going to deteriorate, we hope.
So basically what we're looking to do is we've decided these things need to be packaged now. Doesn't mean you're going to see them now. It means we're going to essentially freeze them in time. That was the right time to take them out of a barrel. We're going to package them, and at some point over the next few months, we'll gradually start releasing them out to you guys.
And if you were sweet talkers at a beer festival, we might have some of the
one in your
pre-launch
pocket.
beers. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's quite a cool thing. Barrel aging beers hugely risky. Things can go wrong, but the rewards can be so amazing if you get it right, and you get some of these beers which were already good beers, and they just feel more balanced, more rounded, and just easier drinking. And that's not, to me, that's not a 14% beer. I can.
Now that's a get yourself in serious trouble beer.
It's the alcohol is hidden. That's most importantly, it's not boozing. Yeah.
So
It's only 9 or 10.
how big is your barrel project these days? How many things you got on the go?
It's just been expanded.
Just had some more racking.
Yeah. We had a container arrive a month ago, and then we actually counted how much racking we had. So that arrived today.
If we're judging this by containers,
71 barrels it was, old bourbon. So yeah, we do Heaven every year, which is like we're always in Heaven Hill.
Nice.
We're trying to structure it a little bit, try and plan it. So we're going to do Heaven every year, Death every year. So Death's going to be a blend of different barrels. But then we got 2-3 other beers in the next 12 months that'll come at barrel age. So a couple of Patreon Project Gold Editions, which I'm very excited about. And I'll be good not to tell people what they are because I get told off. So. But yeah, before the end of the year there'll be 2 barrel aged Patreon projects.
So you're the Lee in your partnership.
Oh yeah,
because I'm the one that always says shit.
I've already said at least 2 things I should have said. So
Normally I take the mic off to go to the loo, and I come back and he's given spoiler alert. It's like everyone gets excited when I go to the toilet because Lee's going to give away all the traits.
If his kid joke is nowhere in here, it's because he'd be in the toilet going, "Oh, I must mention this, and this. I must not mention this, and this."
That's the challenge. Must not.
But I think we'll send a few Baldwin. We've got some Space Island to go, and then we've also got the Northern Wild project, which we launched the first one. The next one's launching imminently, and then we filled a lot of wine barrels about 3 years ago, and they're all sat there with various bacteria and stuff in there. So we're going to do about 4 or 5 Northern Wild bottles a year, hopefully.
Well, one of the best barrel-aged beers I've probably ever had, actually, was your Pinot Noir Strava. Would that be right?
Pinot Noir Stranic.
Stranic? That's right.
Jeez, I thought I even did.
I mean, that would be like maybe 4 years ago or something.
That
Like
would, yeah, that would have been just me. There's no structure in those days. Like we got some barrels, which we were loving them.
No,
So-
we had a keg fest here, and I think we ordered a keg, and then I took it off the bar early and made sure there was some left for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one actually got kegged. I was kind of thinking, I don't remember the label for that. I think we just kegged it all.
That was a beautiful.
Because there was only like a couple of barrels or 3 barrels, so we'll keg it for events. And, it was very unstructured these days. But our quality manager Tanya, before she was with us, she was with Goose Island out in Chicago.
Oh, no.
Might know a thing or two about barrels.
Heavily involved in Century for the Bourbon County Stout project. So so Tanya's got put some structure into it.
Responsible
trying
for
to dictate how long certain beers are in the barrel and what barrels we get, and obviously trying to get them as fresh as possible. And so we've got a lot more variety of bourbon this year, which is really interesting. We've got about 6-7 different distilleries for various single and blended options, which is quite cool.
And you really can tell. This is this thing that sometimes when we do a release, we'll do the same beer in 2 different bourbon barrels, or hopefully more if we can. And at home you can taste them, but in the past it was unlikely you were going to taste them at the same time because they're in big 440ml cans. You're not necessarily going to crack them all, especially because they are expensive. They've taken a lot of time, love and attention. So you're not going to crack a 440ml can if you're on your own and then have 2 of them and then blend them. If there's hopefully we switched to 330ml as much as we can now for stronger beers. Nobody gives you a bit more opportunity to try these different things side by side and really see the difference that the different bourbon brings to it. So we've done a few. Our favourites are Wild Turkey and Heaven Hill, but there's Buffalo Trace has been great.
Trace, I really like it.
And even we did a few Jack Daniels ones early days, which isn't bourbon.
But for the right thing, it's sour mash whiskey to call it. But for the right thing, if it has it's kind of sweet as not a bourbon sour mash whiskey. But with the right thing, that one works.
Yeah, we had some Jack Daniels. Probably was the last Death Blend we did actually. Had a few Jack Daniels in it. Some of them got a little bit hot, but yeah, I know what you mean. There's I think there's a style for them as well. Like you probably find there's some sort of kind of whiskey sour which would work really well in Daniels. I'm not quite sure what that is, but sales I hate it. But
I heard you mention Speyside briefly. So are you doing a bit in whiskey barrels?
yeah, so we got let's say one of the patrons beers I mentioned is in Speyside. And people really know the patrons projects and which ones overdue a gold edition. They might work it out, but. Based on the nationality of the patron, we've got something in page.
Because you can get some surprising results out of whiskey. When we were doing our barrel tasting, we've only done a little bit with whiskey because I've always been a little bit concerned that that's a bit of a Marmite flavour. It's going to dominate over the beer.
Yeah.
People aren't going to like it.
But then Speyside and Highland, you're pretty safe with.
Which is what we've done with Speyside. We had the day we did the tasting, we did the Highland, we did the Speyside, and the 2 that come out, probably some of the best things I drank that day.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised by the results.
We did a lot in the early days. Like we literally sort of picked up the odd barrel here and there. But so last year I did for OVS projects for Scotland. We had a barrel aged wee heavy in Speyside and the bit, I remember tasting the base beer when it went in. I thought it was just lacking a little bit of depth and what have you. It came out, and it was just so rich and red currant, red dried fruit kind of vibes going on, beautiful sweetness to it. It did gain so much from the barrel, which is how it should be.
I was getting a caramel creaminess.
Yeah.
One of them.
So yeah, I think Speyside's great for wood, and then obviously bourbon we do loads of, and then we played around with rum a bit. Rum's a tricky one, you get a lot of heat in the rum, so I think coconut's the obvious one to round things out. But
we don't use coconut much.
we've got a few cognac barrels sat around, which I think we're putting the cognac barrels into the mixed ferment program, so hear from them in about 4 years' time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to play around a little bit. Bourbon flavours are just popular, but yeah, there's other stuff.
I think we might have some more questions.
Yeah, see that. He's got a pile, man.
Oh, for all of us. So what do you mean by expensive yeast? Can you not keep a bit and culture it and effectively make it free? Does that not work at this scale?
Well, I'll go first on that one. So yes, you can absolutely do all of that, but it depends on the experience that the yeast had as to whether you can do that. If it's not exposed to high alcohol, it's fine. If it's not exposed to hops, it's fine. If it's not exposed to lactose or any stupid adjuncts that we may opt to put into it, fine. If you've done any of those kind of things, the yeast's a bit of a write-off. You,
And to add to that, like a lot of it comes down to like as a smaller brewer, especially starting out. You have the confidence to do it. You certainly don't have the lab set up and the knowledge to like count it and look after it. Depends how often you're brewing. Like we went when we first started, we didn't brew often enough, so it was packet. Then we started brewing often enough, so we went to wet. But then then we expanded to the bigger brewery where we were only brewing twice a week. And so again, we weren't brewing often enough to keep a stream going until we started brewing like 3-4 times a week. So you need to be brewing regularly enough to be generating the yeast you need. And like I say, you need to be set up to look after it. And then I'd say that's fine for house yeast, but if you want to brew something with something unusual, you want to do a saison, or you want to do a lager, or a kvike, or whatever, like, are you going to commit to like 3 or 4 or 5 beers of that style of that crop to make it pay for itself? Because otherwise, it's a single hit of yeast is very expensive. If you use it 10 times, it's great. But
we should probably talk about the viability that you've got timing wise as well. Once you've taken that yeast out of the beer, you've got
a few days,
maximum 72 hours before you use it in something.
So if you're using a wheat beer yeast, you've got to brew 3 or 4 wheat beers in a row, which you can do a really big batch of the same beer, or else you're saying to sales, this month we're selling wheat beer. This month we're selling stout, this month we're selling lager. So
Whereas like all the yeast we had stored from cropped over Hop City weekend, essentially Hop City came, and then it was like, right, right,
when
we
you brew for
need
6 days, we've had to start again from fresh.
Well, even without that, I mean, the 4-day holidays we all had. That's enough to not be viable.
If you haven't got the facilities to hold it at like 1 degree and again the lab equipment to check it's still okay, then it'll ferment, but will it be the beer you want it to be? It might under ferment. It might give off flavors. If you've got a flagship beer and then that yeast just isn't delivering the same esters it did before, you've got a different beer. So it's a living thing. It's a living thing, and it's pain in the arse.
Yeah, it's a pain in the arse. It's like having a little dog or a kid to look after.
Yeah, exactly.
You love them, but sometimes they're a bit restricted.
90% of the time is when you say sit, it's going to sit, but the rest of the time it's going to eat your sofa.
It's a good analogy because at the end of the day, though, we still love them.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And yet we love them anyway. So those pesky little cells.
From Alan Humphreys, hello. Have Wayne and Lee ever wanted to follow Pursuit with Northern Monk and make a crisp flavoured beer? What would you make if so?
What's your flavoured crisp flavour?
What crisp we do? Flaming Hot Monster Munch.
Pickled onion, mate. That's all. I feel like pickled onion Monster Munch is a wild project waiting to go wrong.
I do love a pickled onion Monster Munch. The thought of that in beer form scares the hell out of me.
I've got a tip for you. Never do cheese and onion.
Cheese and onion lager.
I mean, one of my all-time favourite crisps, and I don't know how this is working a bit, is the Walker's Sweet Sensation, the sweet chili ones.
Sweet chili Thai.
Yeah, that's so good.
The ones that make your breath ming.
Could you do a stout maybe with that?
Oh, potentially.
Yeah.
Definitely do a stout with that.
Yeah. That'd never work. I
always feel like if in doubt, stouts can take some pretty extreme flavours. If in doubt, stout it out.
So, question for both breweries. What's your favourite series of beers you've ever created? That's from Alan. So,
you first.
for me, probably the Freaky franchise series. It was just way out there, and for us, we hadn't done that many. We've done lots of dark imperial stouts, but not that strong. And I really enjoyed each one. It was just really cool. It was at the time where we'd done a lot of beers, and venues were about to open, and it was probably the last chance we'd get to do something crazy like this, because we brought that out this year. Everyone's back out drinking in pubs again. We would have struggled. You can't sell that volume.
Yeah. It was literally a unique moment in time. I don't think ever in our history again will we have an opportunity to do 11, 12, 13, 14, 15% beer as part of one release.
And we'd only just moved into the new brewery, and we brewed 50 hect batches of each of these beers, and they sold out pretty much straight away. We were just like, yes!
Not that you want to say you're glad the pandemic happened, but you got to do that.
And also, glad we can sell that beer.
So that's 5,000 litres of beer. So in terms, we weren't using free 30ml cans back there, but it's around 10,000 cans of each of those beers you guys bought almost straight away. They sold so quickly, and we were were like, oh shit, we should have brewed more. But in reality, if we'd have brewed more, we'd have probably been sat on them. So it was the right volume, the right time, the right place. It was just a good time for us. And the only time I ever drank all 5 of them at one point in time was when we did the live stream for you guys, and we I don't know what we've been doing. We've been drinking something, and we had to go and do a tasting of all those back to back for the filming, and just like we did it out in the beer garden. It's like, whoa, that was a heavy session, but it was
What's your
fun.
favourite non-monk series?
I think it's probably the British Cultural Archives, to be honest, which is an ongoing series, but each one
I like that answer.
I
That's
don't
a brewer's
event I've
answer.
really
I
liked.
approve.
Yeah.
which is the full series. Each one's showcasing like British we're pairing with an American hop, and it's paired with British Cultural Archives, which is I don't understand from like
It's really great. They're collating photography of like British culture from over the decades, and there's obviously some absolutely if you're like an 80s or 90s kid, it's just it just triggers wonderful memories. But yeah, I love the BCA as well, just because it's been nice to showcase English and American and big styles. But for me, I'm trying to think of my favourite. I can't not say the Tank Petrol series, because obviously it's been insanely popular, and it's been great working with other half and Equilibrium on multiple beers.
Nice.
And in terms of Melbourne, it's like the Tom Joy, like the first ever patron Tom Joy, like ages, because like those first 3 beers, we did 3 single origin coffee porters to start the series, and I think that's the first time we really experimented with like trying to pair, like I was saying, the tasting notes from the coffee and tasting notes, like this one's got notes of cherry or some cherry, but actually like building fruit in at a point where it complements and doesn't take over, and that was really fun. But then we just brewed loads of some really great coffee stouts through that series, and Tom's a Scotsman.
One thing you've highlighted with your answer, and with you talking a little bit about the patron there, is the ties you have with your local community and how you tie in with the local kind of creatives, if I can call it that. I don't think we've touched on that at all. Is there anything worth expanding on there?
Yeah, so the Patrons projects, I'm trying to think when we started working with Tom, it was probably about 2016. And so if you haven't seen them, we work with local artists, local musicians, local creatives, athletes and all sorts, photographers, and every artist, creative gets their own series of. We settled on 7 beers per series. Mainly like Ross loves number 7. That's solely the reason Ross loves number 7. We showcase their artwork or whatever they do on the front, and their peel and reveal labels. So once you work with our local label, I don't know, you get them with like medicine bottles where you peel it and it tells you what not to drink alcohol with this medication, and you ignore it. So it's the same technology, but we do it on a can label. So you peel it open, and it's got information about the artist and like Collab Brewery or whoever, and then I write tasting notes as well. The whole Northern name came about the idea of like, obviously proud of our Northern roots, but the monk things might as much like they brewed beer to support their community. It's like using what the land offered to make a drink for everyone in the community, and that sort of community element was kind of what drove the name. So it was just another way. It was like trying to get outside the normal just working with brewers and trying to reach out to different creatives, and just beer is more than just liquid. The entire experience, like you get one of these cans, I compare it to opening when you as me as a teenager, I'd come into York on the bus, and I'd just spend most of the day in the record shops, and I'd come home with like 20 CDs, and before you even listen to the music, you've opened a CD and you're reading the lyrics, and you're looking at the pictures, and you're interacting with this product before you've even experienced the actual product. So it's playing around with that, and then a great opportunity to work with a wide range of creatives. So we showcase some amazing artists, and each of them has like, some of them are like Tank Petrol. He's just a massive hophead, so he's just like, I want IPAs, I want you to brew the other half, and you're going to tell me when it's dry hopping, because I want to come and add the hops, and he's really into it. And then there's other ones where it's like, like Lemai, she wanted to do a series based around her favourite childhood sweets. So we've done like gummy worms and rainbow belts and playing around. So it's also our massive creative outlet where we just go daft with flavours and try and really play around. So we did everything from big DDH IPAs and Imperial Stouts to like, let's say, candy inspired sours and any kind of weird thing. And
And,
So, yeah, it's
and
just-
if you haven't had the opportunity to try these, you need to be making yourself the opportunity to try these. They really are beautifully created, beautifully packaged beers, and the double layered label, man.
Guess how much those are?
we know. But,
That's why we're doing it.
That's what you do, yeah.
no,
That's why I think it's expensive.
But we couldn't do it because you guys have done it. It's one of those things where you look at someone else doing it and you're like, if only we thought of that first.
Our suppliers under strict instructions not to, not to let anyone else do that. But
No, I don't think it's so uniquely your thing. I don't think
It's
anyone
good,
else
yeah.
could do that now.
it's worth all 35p of that label.
Well, it's funny you should say that because that little thing was about 35p.
Yeah, I say once you
crazy.
start, that's the other thing. Like
Multiple
our label
awards.
companies, they've won so many awards for like the start, and basically they're like, whenever they have something new they want to try on a label, they get in touch with us. So we do, or you name it, we've tried it out print technique wise on the labels, and we just did a glow in the dark label because they're like, yeah, we worked out how to do glow in the dark labels. Great, glowing deaf or glow in the dark, but it wipes off. So. Didn't last that long, but so yes, I say as soon as you start playing around with your metallics and your textures and stuff, it's all part of the experience, but it also comes into the cost of what you're buying. But hopefully,
It's
it makes it worth it because it feels nice, it looks great, and
You
also
can't
the
expect
liquid's
premium
fantastic.
and not
So
expect to pay a little bit more.
yeah, well yeah,
That's the whole idea of it.
You put
Exactly.
it, you put it in a little budget can, and you wouldn't really, you genuinely would experience the beer slightly differently.
it needs a
personally
kernel
think.
label. That's what it needs.
Yeah. So we've got a few more quick questions. We've got loads of questions, but a few quick ones. Can
You're doing that one.
yeah, can the barrel aged beers go into a cask? Yes. So we they were in a cask. They were in a wooden cask. We've done it in the past. We've transferred them into a steel cask, and then we've served them in the venue. And quite stupidly, well not stupidly, we just went for the easy option because that's what we had. And we put a wooden firkin into. It only ended up into 3 firkins. A wooden barrel into 3 firkins. We lost effectively a quarter of the yield. And I was like, guys, you just put like a 12% beer in a 72 pint firkin.
People love it.
But yeah, and you guys drank it all at the birthday.
But that's it. It has to be a special occasion thing. It has to be advertised in advance. You have to say, we are doing this stupid 12, 14%, whatever thing, in this format. It's going to be at this occasion. And it has to be somewhere that's got high footfall. Because even with all the love in the world, that's a hell of a lot of beer.
Yeah, the one thing I've got decided is you can probably get a couple of weeks out of them with good sales management. You know, they'll still taste good after a bit. Like, you know, we did it in the Grove for years.
But it's a little bit of a risk.
And that is why I think the massive comeback in pins.
Yeah,
Pins are made for this stuff. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Only 36 pints of 14%.
Yeah,
Pins
pins
are
are
half
half-size
size.
barrels. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
only 36 pints.
Another quick one.
Only.
Yeah,
Only 36
pints of stout.
14% beer.
I have faith in you.
That's your catchphrase. What happens if you do leave it in the barrel too long?
Well, you pick up too much wood for a start. You get too big a barrel
Yeah,
character.
it just gets really tannic and astringent all the time. And
Tannic, astringent. Almost certainly by that point it's picking up too much oxygen.
I've got a story for that one as
You're
well.
starting to get. You must have drunk sherry in your lives. It starts to taste like sherry.
Only
if
with
you leave it in
Blue, only
there
with
too
Blue
long.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Sherry and Blue Wicked, yeah. No one do that. Just me.
There's a beer there somewhere.
No, it's port. You have
port?
It's port you have with Blue Wicked.
I've got to stop mixing these old.
Cheeky Vimto. Port and Blue Wicked.
So, will you be resting a stout in red wine barrels again? First State of Mind beer was amazing. That's from Gareth.
So that was cherry Tonko.
Burgundy. Ron Burgundy barrel.
And I've touched on, you did a Pinot Noir one, which I thought was excellent.
It's just not. Yes, we'd love to do it again, but it's just not as easy to pair as stuff like bourbon is.
Wine's more tannic as well, so I definitely find red wine barrels thin the beer a little bit. As I say, you can get that if you leave a barrel wood for far too long, you just extract more of that. But the tannic nature of wine definitely can be detrimental.
You're
if you
also a
leave it too
little
long.
bit more exposed. So something that's had a spirit in, high alcohol deters bacterial growth.
Yeah.
Wine, 11, 12% if you're lucky, not particularly good at deterring bacterial growth. So you're almost certainly encountering something else in that barrel. Sometimes a good thing, sometimes not a good thing.
Yeah, it's been, yeah. If we're going down like so, most of the beers we do, the dark beers, we're looking to not to do too much, just to give the wood and the barrel flavour. If you're going to go to mixed firm barrel aged, where you're looking for some funky stuff coming through, then that's the perfect style.
Oh, wine's perfect, absolutely perfect.
So a really cool
mixed up.
question, which is something that we always like to talk about amongst the team. What barrels would you love to use?
So I guess the question is, what have you not managed to source today that you would
Exactly.
like?
What would you love to use?
Because I know my answer.
It's not entirely a case of not being able to source yet, but like,
Find the right beer
I just
for
need to get at some point. I need to find the right beer for a Pedro Jimenez barrel. Because like foremost Rashford's Pedro Jimenez was bonkers, and yeah, it's sherry, but it's like the pinnacle.
It's
and
the pinnacle
I've
of
never
sherry.
had a beer that wasn't amazing out of one of those barrels.
And even a bog standard sherry barrel is going to cost you about 5 times the price
Yes.
of a bourbon barrel.
Hence, yeah, you got to
they're
really
stupidly
commit to it.
expensive.
Yeah, you're paying
I want
100, like 300-400 for a Pedro Jimenez barrel, probably more, 500.
But you're getting better pricing than
500.
that.
I've not looked for a while, to be honest.
So there was a question earlier about what is the price of a barrel, and I skipped over it because I think we might have mentioned it before, but it's worth reiterating it. So a typical bourbon barrel is relatively accessible. They're nowadays about 120 quid, something like that.
Yeah, 120 to 200, depending on what it is.
So
If you bring it in
difference
by
there
the
as well.
shipping container, you're probably getting a better
No,
price.
120 is about average, I'd say, yeah.
So and basically in America, when they make bourbon, they can only use the barrel once. So once they've used the one fill of bourbon, they can't use it anymore. So they typically ship it to the UK, mainly to Scotland. It becomes a whiskey barrel, and then it ends up in circulation for how many times. And we'd love to get them if we can. But you can also get the bourbon barrels, which are amazing as well. And that's what we tend to use, which is why they're relatively accessible. 120, 150 quid, whatever they are. It's not too expensive compared to something like a sherry barrel or
Yeah, bigger. at
Something
least.
that's generally
Yeah, bigger barrels.
Yeah,
like,
you
in
fit
their
more in.
production.
a lot of them are like 250 litres as well, I think.
Well,
something like
part of
that.
the reason you're paying more for a sherry one is because they're bigger.
more wood.
And
But you're still paying a lot more per litre.
They don't retire them very often. They do multiple
Yeah,
generations
yeah,
of a
exactly.
sherry in the same barrel.
Slower.
So for one of them to be retired and be released to one of us guys to do something with is a rare thing. So
Wow.
you're going to pay a premium for it.
Well, usually, I guess it's one of those things where they're retiring it because it's broken,
Yeah.
not because
Yeah.
like to be like, oh, let's let it out into the wild.
Well, no, they're thinking they've got enough from the wood, whatever.
Yeah.
And whereas what we're wanting is a little bit of wood, but we're also wanting that spirit to leach back into the
Give us
beer
your
out.
spirit.
We want that kind of periodic expansion, contraction,
Yeah.
contraction of the beer over the seasons as the temperatures fluctuate, which is going to suck the beer in, push the
And
beer
out.
out, and it's going to make all of that like lovely spirit character come into the beer.
So we've still got loads to get through. So Leah Wayne, are you excited for York City to be in the National League?
I am. I was there at the playoff final. We are
Went better than ours.
one below the league now.
And
Nearly home.
So we make the official York City beer. Or we did before the pandemic. We haven't been able to since. You parking that one.
I don't think it's fair. Right.
What classic Brew York beer would you like to bring back? Brew York for me, which was the original American Pale Ale. We stopped doing it for a few different reasons, but I'd love to bring that back. It's not too dissimilar from Lupu line. It's a 5% American Pale Ale, but it uses our brand name in the route that we originally intended to.
I think this is a good question actually because it harks back to me not answering the barrel one. What classic Brew York beer would you like to bring back? Two of my favourites were Chocolate Orange and Skoda. So Chocolate Orange, absolutely, because the barrel I've not managed to source yet that I really, really want is either a Cointreau or a triple
Yeah,
sec.
that'd be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
I've hunted for years. I've got close to being able to source one from France, and it's never quite paid off. So
Yeah, that would
I'd
be
take
fun.
either Cointreau or triple sec. I think the right stout in that. You almost don't need anything else in the stout. You're just going to get so much, presumably, from that barrel.
Yeah, a couple
Although-
of months and we're done. You won't need much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. What else we got?
Do you find it hard to? Do you find it hard to do with growing?
Deal with, I assume.
Oh, do you? Right, I think I've got the context. Do you find it hard to deal with growing popularity yet keeping locals happy? Do you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah. I mean, 8-9 years of just trying to find the balance. Like it's, yeah, I mean that's one of the things I'm most proud of. I think that we somehow after 9 years we're a supermarket brewery and we're still fairly trendy. I hope.
Oh no, I think absolutely.
So I think that's yeah. I'm not quite sure what the answer is, to be honest. Other than I'm just really proud of the fact whatever style we touch, we do it at least well, and we've always as we've grown, like I mean, COVID completely changed everything, obviously, but certainly the early years was like we added capacity, then took on a bit of extra supermarket stuff rather than taking on supermarkets and adding capacity to demand to meet demand. It was like up until we always kept a fairly even split between export and supermarket, and then your bigger chunk going into the UK, and that always, I mean, for me I think that was key. Like keep the balance right, keep the balance of beer styles right. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, you just gotta. Well, yeah, either prioritize. You decide what you're focusing on. Like, are you just a local brewery? You're focusing on that, and if you're not, then you're just gonna make sure you allocate the right portion of your output to your bread and butter, and just to sort of UK generally.
One of the interesting things you said there, and now you talked about COVID and the impact of that is, prior to COVID, I personally felt that local to us was the people we interacted with in our tap room, but it genuinely wasn't. We were going to festivals and spending a lot of time and effort and energy trying to engage with our community further afield, and then all of a sudden that got shut off to us, and then so in our mind local was the tap room and people came to see us regularly, and it turns out that, and hence the growth in our online store, subscription box and all those different things, there's so many people around the country who felt a link to us that carried on buying our beer, which is amazing. We felt so supported, and all of a sudden the guys tuning in tonight and stuff, the Drinking Outside the Box subscribers proved the point that we were much more than just a York-based brewery. We were like a brewery who were trying to work hard and do things that we found interesting, and other people did as well. And you guys have been saying it.
We saw it massively. It was like it was unreal. Like off the web shop and that. So that first 6 months or so of lockdown was just ridiculous, and also like. We saw with the B word that about 15% of our Patreon subscribers were international as well, and then we set subscription boxes all over Europe, like every month, and all the extra shipping involved. Send us the beer, and obviously we generally couldn't. I mean, we've only managed to do it now. One of our importers. We send the beer and he packs it and ships it. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So we ship the beer to Copenhagen and they repack it for us. That's the only way we've been able to do it.
So we've had so many questions tonight, which is amazing, and we've got a handful more. I don't think we're going to have time to answer them because we've got a few other bits to cover, and then we need to wrap things up for you guys. So very, very quickly, Drinking Outside the Box. Next month we've got a really, really cool selection again. I can't read them all, so I'm going to have to probably test my memory.
Can I do the first one?
Go on then.
Because we referenced, someone said earlier you should do an Iron Maiden inspired beer.
Yeah.
So we're doing a berry and marshmallow beer next month that is going to be called Mallowed Be Thy Name. And honestly, I mean, you think the branding on our beer is good. You want to see
6.66 as well.
Yeah, you've got you've got a like Marshmallow Man Eddie with a pitchfork holding the berries. I think the artwork of like Hallowed Be Thy Name.
And obviously ABV brewed to 6.66% for a certain reason.
As close as you can to.
Yeah, obviously exactly.
Oh, and you've named a beer after Reese as well.
So we've got
named a beer after you.
We've got Diana Vosk, which is the beer that we actually packaged today, so we're launching soon. The one below that, I can't read that either.
Well, a little bit more on the Diana Voss, if I may. So I think you were touching on how you were using English hops in conjunction with US hops.
Yeah.
We have not used English hops in this brewery to date until the last few weeks.
And then you've got to put it with an NZ hop.
Because I named Brew York, New York. We were all about doing the US thing. Obviously it morphed a bit and we ended up doing stouts and sours and all these weird other things, but that was the original intention, so we weren't going to do UK hops. But then we've done this beer recently where we've used Olicana and Harlequin, which are UK hops. We put them hot side as a foundation for then Nelson on the cold side, and we've ended up with this fantastic beer, which has got this really weird lime character to it, which I'm loving.
Yeah,
That was our brew day beer today.
Yeah, this is what we're
lovely.
drinking with the pizzas this afternoon. So we've got a few more beers for you guys lined up. So we've got the beer we brewed today. So Scone Alone, Monks in Brew York.
If you want to be a purist,
Scone
I started to feel really badly that we've used a southern pronunciation for a very York call that. I'm starting to feel really bad about this.
I feel like I'm just going to call it Scone Alone.
Scone Alone.
So yeah, unofficially Scone Alone. We've also got
Keep sconning along.
the dedication to Reese who's with us. We've got Reese's with a spoon. So which is a new Imperial Stout, 12% peanut butter and chocolate milk stout. So that's going to be pretty
It
cool.
also works because I used to work at Weatherspoons.
Reese's with a spoons. Yeah, exactly. Brilliant.
the circle is
Yes.
complete.
So they're the 4 tasting beers for next month's session. So I'm sure it's going to be as much fun as tonight. And then we've got a few other fillers per se, but they're not really fillers. There's some amazing beers. We've got Lemony Snippet, which is our lemon radler, 2.5%. So it's going to be really easy drinking, fully lagered
Package today.
radler.
That one.
We've got the return of a favourite, so Dame Judy. She's had a makeover. She's had the can artwork in this is brilliant. So it's a bit of a nod to the York icon that is Dame Judy Dench. And then we've got I won't tell you about the other 3, but there's some really cool beers. And they're not core beers this month. We've got some really cool fillers, as we call them.
So looking forward. Also, next month, 8th of July, we're going to be joined by the Roosters team. We're hoping we're going to get Tom and all. I think we might also get...
No, I've never seen them in the same room.
Yeah, no. What happened?
It doesn't happen.
They're twins, so we have this running joke that they are the same person. But we hope we're going to have Tom and all with us. And Stu's the guy who we've been working with on the recipe, so I'm hoping Stu's going to come on as well. So we're hoping we might get 3 people along next time.
It's a good job because Lee's going solo.
As discussed earlier, Wayne's going to be unavailable for the next session. So yeah, I am going solo. So I'm going to have the Roosters guys, but I'm hoping also, and I was hoping that Ian from Gyle was going to be in the room at this point in time, because he's been at York Races today. He said
He'll be smashed.
and this was when I was going to do the stitch-up job and say you're coming on camera with me next time, but he's not here, so I'll have to tell him next week that he's going to be my kind of temporary guest host.
So for me, for the next month, lip stum, I can't tell Lee anything because he will just literally leak it all at next month's YouTube while I'm not here.
Because you're not there.
So we've got loads of other bits, but we're way overrun. So very, very briefly, event season. I mentioned it earlier. It's really about to kick off. So tomorrow, or now, today, if you are joining us late, you might have been at Bristol Craft Beer Festival today. Next weekend, we've got Liverpool Craft Beer Expo. We've got Nottingham Craft Beer Festival. I say thankfully, but only in the way that we couldn't do all 3. It was supposed to have been Bigfoot Festival, which would have been a bit difficult. Craft Republic, Real Ale Craft Beer. We've got 2 events with them, Sunday, Monday. We've got, I can't read the next. Glastonbury. Glastonbury's coming up. We're not actually there, but our beer's there, which is
We've
really
got to believe
cool.
that's not an in-person appearance.
Yeah, it was too expensive for us to actually
pretty
go.
cool
But
gig,
sent the
though.
beer.
We've sponsored the VIP bar.
Beer supply to the VIP camping site.
Yeah,
Very cool.
so hence the Diana Voss and the a few of the other beers we brought out this month. Amity Fest, amazing brewery in Leeds, 1st, 2nd of July.
Yeah.
Looking forward to going
See
up
you
and drink, pouring. Well, I won't be pouring. I'll be drinking, and I'm sure you guys will be drinking as well. It's going to be an awesome festival across in Leeds. Glasgow Craft Beer Festival, 8th of July. Loads and loads of festivals. So come and see us, have a chat with us. We're going to try and do some of these events while we're on the road, but we'll see how that goes. We've got lots of planning to do to get to that.
That we have. So I think that wraps us up for this session. So I just want to thank our guests, Bri and Reese from Northern Monk.
Thank you.
It's been amazing to have you with us tonight, guys.
Thank you for
And before we go, as always, we'd love to hear your feedback. So please get your feedback into info@brewyork.co.uk. We hope to see you next time, which will be Friday the 8th of July, hopefully in our new tap room at the production site at Handley, Oswaldwick. See you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.